This episode of the Movie Defenders podcast is brought to you by the support and generous donations of Kevin Athey, Jeremy Bensley, Alexis Borchardt, Brett Bowen, Megan Bush, Richard Cree, Josh Evans, Daryl Ewry, Bart Gurman, Alex Kirby, Joshua Loy, Sean Masters, Mark Nattress, Owen Payne, Jim Sharples, Brev Tanner, and Barrett Young. Greetings, movie lovers everywhere, and welcome to another spellbinding episode of the Movie Defender podcast, the only podcast that knows that Stardust has one obviously glaring, unrealistic moment in the film which must be addressed, and that is, if a guy was really turned into a woman in real life, that person would immediately retreat to a private area for obvious juvenile reasons, never to be heard from for days. I am Scott, and with me is a man who wished to be turned into one specific woman, Olivia Newton-John in roller skates. Donald, that was a dicey time. Couldn't get you out of the bathroom for weeks, man. But you're here. You made it.
Well, you know, I mean, I that's on the other side of the wall. On this side of the wall, I'm this. So there you go.
You didn't turn into hair or something?
Rocker, yeah.
You turned into something. I sometimes I struggle with those, but now when I was watching the movie, I'm like, oh, that would. He would not sit there and just like serve drinks. He's like, I'm out.
He was still scared of the witch. I mean, we'll get there.
We'll get there. Oh man. Well, joining us today, we are not alone, thank God, because we do need a sitter. We are joined by a very great friend of our show and one that we've been looking forward to doing this a long time. Megan Bush, great friend of the show. Megan, welcome to the Movie Defender podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me. And I'm really looking forward to the show.
Yeah, no, we'll, don't worry. We'll turn you into a goofy idiot here in no time, I'm sure.
Resistance is futile.
Resistance is futile. I know. Yeah, we do get real juvenile around here, which is fine. That's all good. I like it. Well, yeah. So Megan is one of our Patreon supporters, but great friend of the show. We've been talking to her a long time, especially over the past year or so. But yeah, Megan, I guess that always kind of gets to our kind of first question we ask for our guests. But why in the heck would you choose to listen to us? How did you find us? Because we were over on the D20 network at first. That's where a lot of people found us. But where did you find us? Was that it, or was it some other time?
Well, it was still when you were on the D20 network, and I had just returned from England. I am in the Air Force and was returning home. Had a long 16-hour drive to get to South Dakota from Michigan, and I needed something to listen to. And all reviews that I hear is so negative and I'm not a fan of it. So I wanted something positive. And your guys' title just happened to catch my attention. And I think it was around the time when you guys had done Suicide Squad. So It was early on and I was like, well,
it's really early.
I'm going to listen to all the Star Wars stuff because I remember loving Star Wars when I was young and got to see him in theaters, and decided to listen from there and beyond to this day. And
wow.
Yeah.
Did you search for just a movie podcast, or were you searching for Suicide Squad because you dug it? Or I'm always just curious.
I was searching for
like movie reviews, or
I specifically typed in positive movie reviews.
Wow.
And
love it.
It wasn't the first thing that popped up, but when I scrolled down, I saw that and I was like, well, where else can I listen to it? Saw you were on Spotify. I was like, perfect. I can download it through the entire time I'm driving, and just did.
Wow.
And awesome. 16-hour drive. That was what, 2-3 episodes, I think?
Probably 2.5.
Your early episodes, I think were...
Yeah, we were shorter. I was trying to... I even made Scott break a couple of them up. Yeah.
We weren't playing scenes then. That
too. Yeah.
You're right, yeah. So it was quite a few. I don't remember how many.
That's awesome, Megan. I'm so thrilled. And then you had... did you deploy between coming back and going? Did you get deployed between then and now? Redeployed?
Yes, actually, it was in. I always get my dates mixed up, but it was in 2018, I believe, and I took you guys with me because I could listen to it through the Wi-Fi, and I used to be a driver for the Air Force. Now with the career change, I don't do that anymore, but that's what I would do. I would listen to you guys while I was driving in the desert.
I'm you mentioned and you did it like just, over a DM, but you kind of mentioned that. And I've welled up like on multiple occasions thinking about that. And Donald and I can see the coordinates. We can see the countries of origin from the listeners that we have, and we can see like, I don't know, 28 countries have listened to us. And after you kind of mentioned that to me, I went and looked. And like we have some Vietnam listeners, we have some people in the Philippines, we have people in all these places. And I looked, and a large swath of them, we've got a base. And I don't, it doesn't mean, causation isn't correlation or whatever that is, whatever. It doesn't mean that's all military personnel, but
right.
The thought of that, it's humbling.
Yeah,
I'm getting broken up about it.
Well, thank you for your service, Megan, and anybody else who's listening. And if we can, if our voices are breaking up that monotony, then boy, must it be really monotonous. But also, it is beyond our pleasure to be able to contribute it all to your well-being and sanity in the midst of all that.
And I spread the word about you guys too. Anytime people talk about movies, I said, hey, listen to these guys. They're very good. They go in depth, but they're really fun to listen to. And so if you look in your history, you saw blips of base in Kuwait. That was me and trying to spread the word.
Wow.
That is so cool.
Megan, I'm never speechless, but I kind of am. It's very, it's very humbling. And I could pontificate for 30 minutes and I won't bore you, but thank you. And if you were the only listener that during that entire phase, it would have been worth it and we'd have kept doing it. Anyway, so don't thank us. Good God. Thank you. Thank you. Anyway. Yeah. All right. Moving on. Sorry, Megan. So, we'll get into the movie we're going to do and the show we're going to do, but I don't know, Donald, do you want to get rid of some announcements here super quick?
Yeah, I think that'd be good.
Let's mow through those. So we are a proud member of the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, and you can hear our show as well as every other show on the PFPN network over at thepfpn.com. There are over 20 shows about movies, about every kind of type and kind you would want or want to think about are in there. If you want to know different stuff, I've been on horror podcasts before. Donald talked about Xanadu on one, and I talked about Jackass on one. So that's the variety you can get on the PFPN, which is hilarious. So go check that out. Over on our end, we do have a Patreon that Megan subscribes to. However, that's she's just too cool. And if we knew how cool she was anyway, we'd have had her on the show anyway. In fact, it would have been amazing to get you on from over in Kuwait. But anyway, you can sign up for any kind of tiers you want for just $1 a month. You can get you can get a second show we do that's called the Backlot Tour that we do on off weeks. That's a little bit of everything. Last time we just kind of played a game that I don't know, called The Producers because we pulled it out of our rear ends, in which we kind of talked about, hey, if you could make any movie, which director, alive or dead, would you want to use? We play games. We talk about news. We review stuff that we don't have time to review on the main show. It's a little bit of a soup medley grab bag of all kinds of things movie related. And then there's all kinds of tiers in between where you can vote on the shows that we do. You can even choose shows that we do and control that. So we've got actually a special offer right now running. And if you sign up now at any tier level, you'll get lifetime as long as you're a Patreon supporter sponsorship credit. We'll read your name on every show. We give you some Movie Defender swag, and then we'll also let you pick one movie that we do later that year if you join now. So Megan
that's a pretty special offer. Yeah,
it is, man. Anyway, Megan's here. She did that. She gets to pick anything, and we're here, and it's awesome because we'll talk about it later, but I've been saving this one up. Donald, aside from that, if people want to be as crazy as okay, go ahead.
I want to ask, how crazy is Megan? What made you? I mean, obviously you were listening to us for a while. What made you subscribe to our Patreon, and kind of what have you been getting out of it?
Great point.
Well, since I have been listening for years and years, and finally got to a good point where I was like, I'm really gonna hit the button and support and really try to get some more interaction with you guys and just see where it would take me. And I wasn't even aiming to try to be on the show. It was more to support you guys than anything else, and just talk movies and be nerds together with everyone else on the that we interact with.
That's very cool.
It is very cool, and hopefully it's been fun. Yeah, we do, and we're always thinking. He and I are always trying to think of other ways to engage the listeners. In fact, it'd be interesting. There's another gentleman who was a Patreon supporter, who's a helicopter pilot, and said, "Hey, I'd love to come on your second show, and we can kick around how realistic all these helicopter scenes in movies are and stuff." I would love to get some of your perspective on some of that, whether it's in I don't know, whatever role in the military you've had. I'm sure there's aspects of the movies that'd be fun, and actually lend your expertise to some of it would be a lot of fun. But anyway,
very cool.
Yeah.
Well,
all right, Donald.
Yeah,
if you want to be as crazy as Megan and talk to us,
so if you want to join our Patreon, it's patreon.com/movie defenders. If you can't support us monetarily, we get it. Please go wherever you're listening to this. Go give us 5-star review and like, subscribe, all that, and tell 2 friends about us, like Megan's already done. That would be awesome and a great way to support us as well. You can find us at moviedefenders.libsyn.com, libsyn.com. That's where all of our feeds are, or all of our shows. Twitter and Instagram are at Movie Defenders, facebook.com/Movie Defenders. Email is themoviedefenders@gmail.com. We've also got YouTube and Discord, and you can kind of connect to us. You can get to the Discord server through our Facebook discussion group. There's a link through there, or you can at least join the discussion. It just on Facebook, search for Movie Defenders Movie Discussion, and I think it should pop up, and you answer a couple gatekeeping questions and go from there.
Yep. We've got a Linktree link on all of our show descriptions that gives you all the links to all the places to find us, and Discord needs to get added because it's not in there. And
that's a good point.
You need to send me whatever the URL would be for people to join that remotely.
A lot of times they'll expire, so I'll need to give you one that doesn't expire.
Okay. Yeah, that would be fantastic. So very, very cool. Well, Megan, if you're ready, we are going to join in, or we're about to dive into what I believe is your favorite part of the show. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, everybody, it's time to do our top 5 segment, a little bit of old school David Letterman rip. I always say that. I always wonder, do even kids know what the hell that even means?
No, they don't.
That old. All right. Well, that's our top 5 segment.
This is a rip off of Watch Mojo now.
Okay. So there you go. All right. Very cool. It's time for 5 by 5.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
This is going to be the best ever.
Not to pat myself on the back, but yes, it probably will be. Here we go.
Red 5 standing by.
May the best sport win.
How many shrinks you go to before me?
5.
500 yards of shit-smelling foulness I can't even imagine.
I wasn't the best because I killed quickly. I was the best because the crowd loved me.
Give me 5. Just put out your hand like this. Come on. All right. Now hit me. Give me 5. Do the same thing. All right.
Because you were the best of us.
Who's hungry? Who's hungry?
Oh, come on. Is this guy for real? Yeah, he's fine. He's good. He's the best there is.
Okay, ladies, our thumbs are down, our wrists are flexed, and we're going to position ourselves for insertion.
Hey, these guys are professionals. They're the best.
You know what's a fun game?
Huh?
You take 3 Excedrin PMs and you see if you could whack off before you fall asleep. You always win is the best part about the game.
Only caught 5.
All right, Megan. So which one's better, the old bumper or the new bumper?
Oh, I love the old bumper, but this one, there's parts of this one that I absolutely adore. And if you did a mishmash, be just the top tier one.
maybe that's something we need to do is have the Patreon subscribers like kind of program one out for you, and you get to do what they asked.
I'm in. I'm totally in. Yeah, I got tired of after 3 years of listening to that one. I was like, oh man, need a new one. Need a new one. Probably need new openers. Need a bunch of new things. But
I say that to get rid of that one clip of the 40-year-old virgin. But I'm pretty sure that that will backfire.
Well, see here. So Megan, I'm just asking because I'm just taking a guess. Is that one of the clips that you absolutely adore?
Actually is the Morgan Freeman.
Yeah. Nice.
That one just worked out really well. No, 40-Year-Old Virgin, that one just, those two movies just, I'm sorry. That and Old School, I lose my shit every time. Can't get through them.
Mine is Tropic Thunder.
That one, yeah.
That is my favorite show of your guys's too, by the way. Every time I listen to it, it's just a big smile, laughing. It's a great time.
We really leaned into comedies during the pandemic because we just kind of needed it. We were getting bummed. We didn't have any new releases for the first time, like in the history of Hollywood. There weren't new releases. We didn't know what to do.
Yep.
So you got to go into. It's not like there aren't tens of millions of old movies to cover. Of course there are, but we just wanted to laugh. Sometimes we're getting fed up with everything, and then that was just a no brainer. And I will say that's one of the few episodes. A couple of times I'll just put on parts of it because it's just funny. It's just funny. That, and I always joke about Donald's Happy Hands Club rant in the Napoleon Dynamite show.
Yeah.
Anyway. All right. Well, let's talk about today's 5x5. Megan, this was actually, thank God for your idea. That's the thing. Donald and I are after years of this segment where we'll never run out of topics, but we are finding it a little more difficult to find them. So this time we are going to discuss our top 5 high adventure, or I guess you could call them quest movies, correct?
Yeah, that's a good way to think of them.
All right. Yeah. So fantasy where there's either probably a MacGuffin or a long journey or, something to that effect in the middle of the movie. That's what we're going to talk about. So hopefully, Donald, that's what you did.
Yeah, I did something along those lines. I struggled because Scott, I think you and I were kicking this around after she suggested it, and we're like, boy, there's a lot of movies that you could probably throw. You could argue, you might be able to argue that Joe versus the Volcano is a high adventure / quest movie. I'm not sure whether you would succeed in arguing that or not, but it at least fits a couple of those, long journey and the quest to throw yourself into a volcano and
man,
and stuff like that.
I think I've got some really cool entries in mind just due to the thought process you kind of just went through. I think.
Yeah, right and I just thought of a lot of travel because this movie deals with a lot of travel. I was like, there's some great ones out there.
Very cool.
I wonder if our number ones, I guarantee you there's 2 movies that I'm thinking of that there's one movie I'm thinking of, maybe 2 that might be on every one of our lists. But we will see.
I tend to agree.
All right. Well, we always start with our honorable mention stuff that didn't quite make the cut. And Megan, of course, for everyone to understand, Megan says she's nervous, and obviously getting on a show and stuff is definitely different. But when she writes in and contributes to our top 5 segments,
oh man,
they should be published. Like, they are so good and eloquent and amazing. And I listen to me talk about my list. I'm like, I'm an idiot. Like, Megan's so anyway, you should write. What we should do is commission you I'll come up with the top 5 and then you write the little spiels about them because they're amazing. So no pressure. All right. How many honorable mentions you got, Megan? What are they?
I do have 4. This one was hard for me to not go overboard, but would you like me to just name them off right now? Or
yeah, go for it.
So I do have Stardust as an honorable mention because we're going to go so into it. I didn't want to really do anything beyond that because this movie has almost 2 MacGuffins rolled into one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so I also have Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Nice.
Trying to save the village.
Yep.
National Treasure, Nicolas Cage. I had to include one.
That's one I forgot about, and yeah, that's
I didn't forget about it. I don't think it made it my list, but no, that's not a bad film at all.
They're traveling all over the U.S., lots of travel, and trying to get the treasure. And then Atlantis, The Lost Empire, an old one, obscure one from Disney, and very underrated in my opinion.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it is. In fact, it's funny. YouTube reactors are starting to pick up on that. They go in trends online with reactors channels, and Atlantis is starting to pop up. And I had a storybook of it that I'd read my kids. Sean loved it. It was one of those storybooks where you got to push buttons and made sound effects.
Oh, there you go.
Yep.
He loved the hell out of that one. So we got the movie, and it was played a lot. It's that, like Treasure Planet, Titan AE, like there's some really underrated animated stuff out there. That's definitely.
I agree. I very agree.
Very cool. Donald, do you want to go next? Do you want me to go next?
Yeah, I'll go next. I've stopped kind of whittling down to honorable mentions and just kind of left my short list, but I won't subject everyone to that. I think that one of the preeminent ones that did not make my list is Monty Python and the Holy Grail, which is literally a quest, but also ridiculous, and I love it. The Last Unicorn is one that I think it almost made my list. It's very close.
About that one.
Love it. Stand By Me, and which is not fantasy, but it's definitely got that journey, right? And it's a different quest, but yeah, I mean it fits, I think. Yep. But then I threw in Moana and Frozen 2. I didn't think Frozen 1 was much, but that's just me. But Frozen 2 is much more of a quest driven, like let's go find this sound. And then I asked my son, what about a quest movie? And he said Cloak and Dagger from the 80s. I'm like, holy crap, you're right. That works.
What would they? I mean, I guess it's the cartridge.
The cartridge is the MacGuffin. They got to go and find it, and then he's got to rescue his friend. And yeah,
I love that movie. That movie was like life for me, man. That's why I got walkie talkies.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Big, man. Like, yeah. I don't have daddy issues because of my dad, but because of that movie, yes, I do.
God world.
And then, man, just barely not making the list is Labyrinth.
Yeah, man.
So, I'm not going to say, I don't have to explain that one.
Nope.
Very cool. All right. My top 5, or at least I have 5 honorable mentions. And these, again, they're my favorites. And this is recency bias, and I've talked about it, but Krull's on my list. It's got B-movie elements. It ain't the greatest. The effects are a little shoddy at times, but damn it. First, there's a little mini quest for the glaive. Then there's a quest to go get the seer. Then he gets offed. Then there's a quest to go get the widow in the web. Then there's a quest to find the tower. There's all these quests in the middle of it, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. No, I mean, it's pretty textbook, I think.
Ready Player One, the movie version.
Oh man, yeah,
yep.
I think that absolutely qualifies. All the little mini quests for the mini keys, and then obviously the end. Curse of the Black Pearl, the Pirates of the Caribbean, the very, very first one. It's freaking amazing. There's almost 2 again between that Compass and then obviously the final. I gotta throw in some old school, represented respect for the Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Didn't make my list, but definitely makes my honorable mentions. And last one, I don't know if this is on your lists, but I was thinking about this. I think A New Hope is too easy. I'm putting Rogue One on my high adventure quest.
I agree with that more than A New Hope, frankly. Yep. So I was trying to think of Star Wars because I was just shoehorn Star Wars and everything. I mean, it's the the all genre kind of thing, but I was only thinking of New Hope, and it's like it's there, but it's not there. And Rogue One fits it to a T. You're right.
It does, yeah. And I won't say anything more for now.
It's even got the castle.
We might be hearing about that one later. Yeah. Very cool. Well, Megan, why don't we do this? Number 5. What's your number 5?
My number 5 is Lara Croft Tomb Raider from 2001.
All right.
That was my introduction to a really badass female character that was traveling to find, I can't remember, I believe it's the Eye. And you have great early appearances from Daniel Craig, Ian Glenn. Overall, a great kind of adventure quest and just good at times with that film.
I've never caught that for whatever reason, and so I do need to check it out.
I saw it back. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I have seen it. Imagine if Indiana Jones knew kung fu and weapons and had tech. It's awesome. Donald, you're number 5.
My number 5. I could almost put this as my number 1, but the Dark Crystal is one that it was late coming to the list, but I kind of put 1 through 4 on there, and I got to 5. I'm like, let me simmer on it a bit, figure out, like, I'm sure I'm missing something, like I missed National Treasure and things like that. And all of a sudden, the Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal showed up and popped into my head, and I'm like, oh, well, of course. And so the Dark Crystal won it out just because it's a bit more sweeping, it's more high adventure, and it's got the narrator and all that. So it's I love it.
I just watched that last week.
Soundtrack.
I just watched it last week. And I'm like Donald. I'm like both of you. Like, I could have 800 honorable mentions, and I thought of it in Labyrinth. And just because it doesn't make my list doesn't mean I don't love that thing to death. I just watched it. So, because I think it's on HBO right now. Very cool.
Yeah.
My number 5. We're gonna go way back. It is the first kind of quest movie. And that's kind of why it's on there, for nostalgic reasons. Like, do I think it's the best? No. But 1982's Clash of the Titans was one of those movies that was on HBO every 5 minutes, along with, there were just this staple of movies that sometimes a movie will hit an HBO or a streaming service like that, or a premiere service or cable service, be on for 3 or 6 months and drop off. Yep. Clash of the Titans, Last Starfighter, Crawl, Star Wars, just never left.
Nope.
They never left, and they're just always on. So, the Harryhausen special effects were dated by then, because Star Wars had just blown the doors off of everything. And so in 2001, things like that. But number of quests in there, quests to get to quests to get to quests. Anyway,
no, that's good. I'm remiss for forgetting that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I've seen it very recently, and it's like, it's a little rough, and these Shakespearean deliveries of lines over.
Well, look, I thought that it was rough in the moment, when I saw it, and I didn't have that much to base off of, and yet I love it, and it's the cast is friggin' amazing. I mean, you got friggin' Olivier as Zeus and Burgess Meredith.
Ursula Andress was like dating Harry Hamlin at the time, and she got to sit there and be Venus or something for 5 seconds and say nothing. And anyway, and hey, I think the remake deserves a lot more love than it gets.
That's true.
I agree with that. Yeah,
I think it was. All right, Megan, number 4.
My number 4 is Rogue One, a Star Wars story, because they're traveling to different planets and they're on the quest. Well, we don't know what the quest is really in the beginning. First, it's find her father, and then you realize that the plans, there's a flaw, there's a trap that he put in there, and
you've got wizards,
and you got wizards, you have spies, you have assassins, you have all the elements there. And I'm also a big fan of Mads Mikkelsen, so even his small part, I felt a lot of emotion when his character met his fate.
Oh, yeah. You're wanting the whole time for them to be reunited, and they had it for about 60 seconds. Speaking of Mads Mikkelsen, played a dope character in the Clash of the Titans remake.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He did.
He did. Very cool. Yeah. Well, see, Donald and I joke, there's a reason we do this show, and there's a reason you obviously listen to us nerds, because we both had Rogue One. Donald, you're number 4, man.
Great minds. My number 4 is probably the most off the wall of my top 5. The rest are fairly straightforward. No, not Xanadu. It would be the Blues Brothers.
I guess that counts.
They're on a mission from God. There's clearly magic involved a couple times.
Yeah. I can't.
They go and they meet different characters. They have to put the band back together. That's their quest. They have to make the money.
Mm-hmm.
They have the big showdown and then the big old chase at the end, the climax, right? I mean, come on.
I think that you did pull a muscle to stretch to get there, but I'll allow it.
I think that a lot of listeners are with me on this. So maybe not top 5 for everybody, but it definitely fits.
All right, fair enough. Well, I will go. Here's one that I don't know. We'll see how much we think alike, but I know this counts. But it is one of my favorites, and it's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Because that quest, it turns into, hey, it starts with just, hey, UFOs are going everywhere, what's going on, to there are a certain percentage of people that are having this vision, and it's all telling them to go to this place, and they don't know why, and they don't know what it is, and they don't know where, and they don't know what for. And it by halfway through the movie, there is a quest of people all over the world trying to get to a certain place for reasons they don't understand. And it's because the aliens have chosen them to be among, to go up. So that is a quest film. It doesn't start that way, and it doesn't act that way to start, but very quickly it becomes that. So again, I think it's a little off the wall, but I think, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it counts? Or it doesn't count?
I think it counts because instead of people going to the place, it's the place bringing the people. So how they get there is the opposite. So I would
the
agree.
Government was trying to stop, killing cows, putting them on the road, making people think there was this big, gas leak or whatever.
I think it definitely turns the formula on its head a little bit, but it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. Megan, number 3.
My number 3 is Princess Bride.
Nice.
You have the quest for Princess Buttercup and love. Love is the quest.
That's
it is
right.
definitely more of a love adventure than a questing movie, but I feel like you still have all the elements there. You have the wizard, the witch, they're married, favorite scene, and you have the evil prince and his henchmen following the heroes.
Yep.
The cliffs of insanity all the way across the swamp, the fire swamp, and no, that's a good one.
Love it.
Very good.
Love it. All right. Donald, number 3.
My number 3 is the Goonies.
Nice.
Yep.
And they find a map, they need to find treasure, and they have a reason to keep on going. All kinds of traps and foibles, and there's I think I'm pretty sure that One-Eyed Willie has some magic in there somewhere. If nothing else, with them playing around with physics and how long his traps last. But it's definitely more of a modern day high adventure, I think.
I would agree. My number 3, Donald already said it, and there's a reason we do this show, and it's Stand By Me.
Nice.
I was the age of those boys when the movie came out. Like it was literally, those kids were our age, right? Maybe a year older, maybe
a little bit, but yeah.
Not really. They were 6th graders or something. Like it was, if they were in 6th, maybe we were in 5th. Those kids were my age. And by the time, a year later came, cause obviously it's rated R, I wasn't going to get to the theater, and it hit HBO and I could see it. The kids and the characters are just, that's what makes that damn movie. But imagine a quest to find a dead body, and it's not just them after it. There's another group of kids that are after it. Law enforcement's looking for it. It's crazy, but it's good. In fact, it's funny. I posted this little thing, and a lot of people listen to our show but don't see our socials. I heard this kind of amazing bit of trivia just 2 weeks ago about this. That is, the movie was always called The Body because the short story that Stephen King wrote is called The Body. It was called The Body all the way through production, but Kiefer Sutherland was actually teaching River Phoenix how to play guitar. And the song that they were working on a lot in their trailer was Stand By Me. And Rob Reiner just overheard it. And Kiefer said, I never asked him, and he never told me, because the song is not they got the song rights to the film after that moment and put it in the end credits, but it's not referenced at all in the movie. It's not even a thing. And it got changed because Kiefer Sutherland teaches his guitar lessons. So
wow. I didn't know that.
I know. I didn't either. It's pretty crazy. All right. Home stretch. Megan, number 2.
My number 2 is Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest.
The Dead Man's Chest. Nice.
It's the second one because to me, the first one is the introduction to everything. Their goal is to get rid of the curse and to get the ship back, but the second one takes it a step farther. Now you have Davy Jones, you have Supernatural, you have getting to the heart of Davy Jones, and you can't go wrong with the jar of dirt. So, so to me, that felt more widespread within it, even though the movie's already widespread. So, that's my number 2.
I hate the narrative is the first one's great. The second 2 are okay. And the rest are crap. Those first 3 are all amazing. Same way about the Matrix trilogy. Well, the first one's great. The next one sucked. Mm-hmm. I even think the fourth one with the Fountain of Youth was really good. The fifth one didn't capture my imagination. And I don't think because it was badly made. It's just because we kind of seen that a lot.
Yeah.
But I think those first 4 are just fucking solid as hell.
The second one really brings in a hidden love story between Calypso and Davy Jones that everybody always overlooks. And that's a part of the adventure too.
That's right. Yeah. It is one of those things you don't learn about till they get to where are they going? Because of the T.
Tortuga? No,
Tortuga.
That's
yeah.
That's not the first one.
That's what she is. That's where.
Well, they went back to Tortuga.
Oh, okay.
And there was probably another one, but I can't remember it. In the moment,
I know what you're talking about.
Brain fog.
No, it's all good. It's all good. All right, Donald, number 2, man.
My number 2 is Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
Interesting.
Because it's a bit on the nose, but it is a crusade. It's he's going after the friggin' Holy Grail. So, it was built from the start to the finish as a quest, and for me, I think it's more quintessentially a quest. I don't think his. Like when he in Temple of Doom, he was trying to save the town and rescue the children, the slave children, and everything like that. This is definitely much less, altruistic. He's just kind of trying to find his dad, and then ultimately they need to try to find the Grail to save their lives and things like that. But it, I don't know, it felt much more part of the quest format.
Questy.
Yeah, it felt a little more questy.
Well, my number 2, Donald's already said it. And that's the Goonies.
Nice.
I figured that would be on at least some of the lists for sure. Look, we already know all the reasons why. I've pontificated on that movie a lot. It's one of those things where the last thing I'll say about Goonies, because we all know why. It's literally what I think Hollywood's supposed to do and be. It's an epitome of why I fell in love with the movies. Like it's part of the reason why I can't kind of stand some of the stuff that surrounds Hollywood these days. Like, let's just entertain us and have fun and bring families and do goofy stuff and have a great time. I mean, there's a special needs giant football linebacker with a Superman t-shirt on a pirate ship. It doesn't get any more crazy than this crap. And it's amazing. Every little bit of it. So.
I'll tell you what is great about that movie that can't be done anymore is Richard Donner just let the kids talk. And they talk, they're all talking like kids. They're not, like very little of that was, to the script, to the letter. And so that's what makes it feel so relatable. Like, Stand By Me was fantastic, but it was definitely more scripted. And I think River Phoenix especially was ad-libbed, and Corey Feldman's obviously in both. But I think that there's that. I think that's part of the magic of the Goonies is the kids just being kids in the midst of all that.
I think they're starting to allow that to come back a little bit more because you see more of that in the recent Stephen King's It films. Andy Muschietti let the kids talk like kids did in the 80s. I mean, is still a little
That's
different.
That's a really good point. And I guess Stranger Things, they do some of that. Yeah.
Yep, but it's still very rare. I agree with you. They need to let kids talk like kids.
Like a noticeable anti-example of this, and I'm sorry for the tangent, was the Lord of the Flies movie in the late 80s, early 90s. Was it 90?
Yeah,
it was right when we were reading it. But they were talking.
We were reading it. We all had to go see it.
Yeah, but the kids talking back and forth about kids stuff was obviously very scripted. It was by robotic. It was the opposite of what I'm talking about. So
yep. Well, Megan, take us home. What's your number one?
So my number one it's actually a tie, but these two flow so well into each other. It is Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, and The Two Towers.
Yep.
They meld together for me. And those two, you have the beginning, and then The Two Towers expands upon the quest. But the third one is more about the end.
Yeah.
The end of the quest, whereas this is the journey. So
yeah, they arrive at Mordor at the beginning of the third movie.
Yes.
And the rest is just, okay, how do we get it across the finish line here? For sure.
Right. Yeah. So, and the music in those two films, I still listen to this day. Just the orchestra, the score, they hit hard. And if you're listening for it, you hear these cues that take you with them. Your mind is there. You're in the peril.
Love it.
No, I did. I left off, not to spoil my number one and what it won't be. I left off the Lord of the Ring trilogy because I kind of figured sometimes Donald and I'll make a list and the number one is so glaringly obvious. We just kick it off the top of the list and go, we'll do the rest. That's kind of where I was just trying to think of different stuff because it obviously belongs in the top 5 of Quest movies, for God's sakes, that's ever been made. So yeah, hell yeah. And she's right, and she's right about which ones you should pick to cover this list because she's absolutely correct. The third one's a lot of people's favorites, but it's because the story's coming to an end and all the characters are finally converging that have gone off on disparate, places, and then they all kind of find each other again. But if you're talking quests, it's definitely the first two.
Right.
I'm going to agree with you by telling you how wrong you are. My number one is all 3 Lord of the Rings tied because
that's fine. Do it.
You can't have a quest without finishing the quest, or obviously stuff happens where sometimes you don't actually finish the quest in a movie, but usually right. Perfect example. But you don't turn around and then have a sequel that finishes the quest and then leave that out. Like it's, the actual, the last bit was the psychological part of the journey with Samwise and Frodo. And, they were like spiritually journeying and, helping each other and dealing with Smeagol and everything. So it was, I think that was, I would definitely not leave it out. I did not leave it out for those reasons. Plus, you get the you bow to no one, which is
that's still
if that's not the perfect ending to a quest, I don't know what is. Getting that reward and returning home. So that's I absolutely agree, and yet that's why I disagree.
What's really funny about my number one is it's another one of these things where we agree and disagree, because now with my number one, we have put all 3 of them on there, and that's Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's my number one.
Nice.
So we put all 3 indie movies on our list at some level for different reasons.
And we very specifically picked a different one. That's great.
And I think, and look, even Crystal Skull counts as a quest. I just was like, well, if I'm going to pick any of these, I'll go OG and pick that first one. Right. That's all. It wasn't that I think the Holy Grail or the Rocks or any of that is less questy. I don't mean that, because there's all the same. It doesn't matter the reason of the quest. I just went ahead and decided.
Well, literally, the Lost Ark of the Covenant is, of course, like that's a perfect questy kind of thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's really funny. The only thing, everyone knows why we like that movie, but it's really funny is I've talked about. I like watching younger people on YouTube, like a 20-minute cut down version of them watching an older movie. And every time they get to the face melting part, they're like, "This is PG,
right?
What were you thinking?" Like they'll watch Jaws. And they'll go, "This was PG."
Yep.
Anyway, it just cracks me up, like, because 13 didn't come until 85. But it just, because I think the last two were PG-13. I think Temple of Doom and Crusade were. Anyway, I just laugh. They're like, Jesus, this is PG. Anyway, it just cracks me up. So
perfect.
Well, very, very cool. Very cool. Love it, love it, love it.
You're listening to the Prescribed Films Podcast Network, home to hundreds of hours of free podcast entertainment. The shows on this network all have a common goal: providing you with the best discussions about movies and other forms of entertainment media. The PFPN hopes to fill your earholes with audio joy. Visit our website with links to all the other amazing shows at www.thepfpn.com. Thanks for listening.
All right. Well, we're here to get started with what brought us all together. So this movie, and we're going to talk about the whys here pretty significantly here in 2 seconds. But this is a movie that Megan requested and chose, one that Donald and she loved to tears, and that I had never seen. And I'll talk about it, but I purposely started holding this off once the show kind of started. And that movie kept coming up on top 5 lists all the time. It kind of really quickly became in my, I need to watch that list. Right. And then when it kind of started, no, I think the show may happen. I was like, all right, I'm going to save it. I'm going to put it in my back pocket. But it is time to venture back into, I don't know, more magic, fantasy and quests and all those kind of fun things. We are going to talk Stardust.
I have a surprise for you. Victoria, for your hand in marriage, I'd cross oceans.
You're funny, Tristan. Tristan, a shooting star.
I'd cross the wall and I'd bring you back that fallen star.
You can't cross the wall. Nobody crosses the wall.
Excuse me, have you seen a fallen star anywhere? We're in a crater. This must be where it fell.
Yeah, this is where I fell.
You're the star. You're the star? Really? Oh, wow.
You've seen stories of magical worlds, wicked witches, flying pirates, and dashing princes. But never has there been an adventure quite like this.
Everyone's talking about a fallen star.
When I find her, the glory of our youth shall be restored.
This is the part where you tell me who you are and why you're up here.
We're just trying to make our way home.
Touché.
You'd better be telling the truth, you two-faced dog.
I can get you one of them, actually. Very good guard dogs. They can watch the back and the front door at the same time.
Enough.
Where's the girl? You have seconds to live.
Now we shall begin.
I know what you are. Get him. It's just you and me now.
Not for long.
Hold me tight and think of home.
All right. So here to talk about Stardust. Now, I'll get into my experience with the movie is really, I'll get it out of the way. It just passed me. In 2007, I was in little kid jail and we were watching Shark Tale on a loop. And, it was that period of time where, we either watched movies for kids or after kids went to bed, we were watching something just for us or something. And it just slipped through cracks. There was nothing that I hated about it, didn't like about it. None of that. It just slipped through cracks for whatever reason. That's my story. I don't have anything more unique. And then, like I said, when I knew this was possible, I wanted to save my viewing experience for this moment. But Megan, for you, and you could pick any movie you wanted to come on and discuss, why Stardust?
Well, it was a hard choice, and I kept coming back to Stardust because of Neil Gaiman, really, and his storytelling, and he's made a resurgence in media through TV shows and movies, and this one seemed to fall off the map just like Princess Bride did when it first came out. There are so many similarities between Stardust and Princess Bride, and it is a fantasy romance not just for young kids, teens, but for adults as well. There's adult humor, there's adult themes in there. It is what really made me want to talk about it more.
That's fantastic. So this has been popping up, Donald, in your top 5 lists at various points for various topics.
Yeah, basically as often as I could make it happen, right?
No, I mean, yeah. So talk about we'll do opening thoughts here in a minute, and I'll go nuts. But what's your what's your experience with this film? You've obviously been loving it.
I have. This is one that came out right as we were kind of trying to have a kid and trying to adopt a kid and trying to sell a house and move and trying to cut, limit expenses. And so basically my movie expense at that time in like 2007 was Netflix discs coming in the mail every month.
Yeah, it was.
Or however long. And so I saw the trailer for this. I'm like, that looks awesome. I can't wait to see it when Netflix mails me the disc. And not as a detriment to, what I thought of it. It was just, that was how I was consuming movies basically around then. And so when it did come around, it was late 2008 or so. And my wife and I watched it, and we were both really blown away by, as good as it looked. I'd kind of forgotten what the trailer was, and we just popped it in.
Right.
And it blew me away with how, very much like The Princess Bride, and yet not like, not the same kind of funny, doesn't take itself too seriously, and yet is playing a lot of things straight in the world, and as opposed to The Princess Bride. And so, where even the woman, going boo boo was kind of for laughs and things like that, and the Bishop Mowage and stuff like that.
There was Mel Brooks moments thrown in, right?
100% Zucker Brothers kind of thing almost, but it's absolutely funny, but it's also very serious, very scary at times. Nothing, the way that the story was told felt different. I think that other fantasy shows, I'll say especially, like the Netflix fantasy shows like The Witcher and what is it, Flesh and Bone, or is that what it's called?
Something like that.
Bone and Shadow.
Bone and Shadow, thank you. Or is it Shadow and Bone?
Shadow and Bone. Yeah, that's
it. Has one of the characters in this, or one of the actors, Ben Barnes, is in that. They've kind of taken a note out of Stardust as far as the way that the story gets told, and not everything is revealed early. And there's hints here and there, but you're going between different, from you're following different groups of people throughout the story, which is it's just in a different way than The Princess Bride did, and yet at the same time totally owes its existence to The Princess Bride. It's very interesting, and the message at the end about love was awesome, and so it's. And part of its staying power is that it's got a cast for miles, and both before and after. It's just I could keep on going about it, and I probably will,
and you will,
but not right now.
Yeah, you will. Well, how do we want to do this? So, do we want to? Well, I mean, you guys could kind of decide. Do we want to do I don't know. I'm the green one here. Do we want to do my opening thoughts on it, and then you guys roll in, or Megan, do you want first crack, or? And these are just our general thoughts of the film from top down, like before we get into the chronological, diving into everything. But
I want to hear your thoughts, because you're the newest one to it. I watched it in theaters when it first came out, and my aunt took me to see it, I believe. And So I really am interested to hear your point of view.
So that was how you first saw it. Did you fall in love immediately the second it came out on DVD? You grabbed it. Like what? Yeah. What was your experience with the movie after you got to see it the first time?
I've always been a lover of stories and fantasy and that hints of romance that kind of take backstage. They're not the focus, but the adventure is still there. And that movie had all of it for me. So when it came out, of course, I grabbed the DVD, and then when they released it on Blu-ray, I grabbed that too, just because the DVD got a little bit used up at that time. So and then for a while, I kind of forgot about it, and then brought it back now in this day and age where you kind of need that little bit of whimsy. So yeah, and
absolutely.
I have a lot of my aunt to thank for that, because her and my uncle are huge movie buffs. They love movies, and my parents allowed me to go see any movie I really wanted to within reason for the age time. And
right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just kind of my experience with the movie.
That's awesome. Okay. So I kind of talked about why I missed it. And then obviously I went to, there were many times over the course of the show, I was like, oh, maybe I'll just grab Stardust here. But then once you and I started to talk and you're like, I think I want to do that. Then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to wait. Donald and I both have had some movies like that we wanted to watch. In fact, Heat was one for Donald that he was kind of hoping we'd end up doing or covering in some way, but he wanted to watch it, for the show. So same way. So first of all, I want to disagree with something Donald warned me. Donald, when he knew I was excited to hear about it, he knew I was excited to watch the movie, and he said, well, Scott, you're going to have these what the fuck is going on moments, and you're going to need to watch it twice. I always watch the movie more than once when I cover it. You'll never hear me do a review of something I've seen once.
Well, now, Megan, would you back me up on that, or would you say that I was wrong about that?
I would say there's a couple of moments that make you pause and say, wait, what?
Yeah, exactly.
I would agree, but not really in like, I can't believe they did that. More of a line of, oh, that surprised me. I was not expecting that. Yeah.
So they're there, and I'm not denying they're there, and I'm not saying that they aren't, but here's what I liked about it was I like when movies, A New Hope did this. They drop you in. There was the opening crawl, but aside from that, you're going to figure it out. And that's all this did. It dropped you into a world that's already lived in. It's already been there, and you're just an observer. And the moments that you go, wait, what? They get explained. It all gets explained. And then if it's not, it's because magic. Like, because this is a magical place, and that's what, just suck it up and deal with it. It's magic. Shut up. But all the WTF moments in the very beginning of the film, especially the first act, I enjoyed that because I don't need you to explain everything to me. The narrator did its version of the opening crawl, gave you just enough to go on and then go. And I don't need you to explain everything. And I like trying to figure stuff out myself or connect the dots myself. So I did not treat this as a negative. I did experience what you warned me about, but I didn't take that as, oh my God, fuck this movie, because I don't know what's going on.
Well, the reason that I brought it up is I think that if someone is not going to like this movie, it's because of those moments that they're like, wait, what? And then they don't recover for whatever reason. And so
that could be fair.
If they're and there's some of the stuff that the movie answers but doesn't answer for a long time, and if you're busy trying to figure that out in the midst of the rest of the movie, then you're going to miss the movie and you're not going to like it as much. So that's my thought.
Okay, that's fair. Well, anyway, I experienced it, but it wasn't a ding. Obviously, the world building and the stuff in this film is beyond anything. It's also done and executed very well, because when the WTF moments do hit, or the things that are a little odd or strange, because of the world that they built and the rules of the thing is that you have to understand about the movie. The movie world building always sets up, what are the rules of our world? If you're watching The Matrix, what are the rules? Okay, if you're in the Matrix and you die. To get out of the Matrix, you have to get to these specific points. Like, they set the rules up. Well, with a movie like Stardust, there's kind of no rules because it's magic, and they can say why does Michelle Pfeiffer get older when she uses magic? Because magic, I guess. They never explain it. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But at the same time, the world building was done so well that you're even like, oh, they're just sitting on a cloud. Oh, I guess that's a thing. So again, it doesn't matter because there don't need to be rules. And the WTF moments, in my opinion, were just setting up that fact. There's kind of no rules here, guys. You're going to have to just deal with what you see. And that's fine by me. The characters in the cast are obviously fantastic. And obviously most of the cast went on to do bigger and better and those kind of things. And, I totally get it. For me, I will say this. Okay, so what did I think of the movie? I loved the movie and I liked it quite a bit and I really got a kick out of it. I can see why, if you've lived with this movie for 20 years or 15 years, whatever, why you'd kind of keep falling in love with it and picking up all the nuance that I probably haven't caught in two viewings. But it really took off in the third act. When everything did start to converge, I thought the third act was immensely successful. And it's not that the first two acts bored me or whatever. I just thought, wow, this third act really, like Spider-Man No Way Home's for another example. The movie's great, but man, that third act, holy shit, right? Say Rogue One, by the time they get to, Scarif, holy shit. And this was that way. And it was done really, really well. And all these different forces all converging in the same place for different reasons. I thought was fantastic. So those, I guess those are my opening thoughts. I loved it and I'm glad I waited to do this because I put, you put your movie defender hat on. If I would have just sat in the living room, I don't know if I'd have picked up on some stuff because I would have just been watching it casually and I might've been doing something else in the room while it was on. I don't know. So I'm glad I got to do it like this. So hopefully that makes some sense, but
good deal.
Well, Megan, what, I don't know, any, before we start diving in for either of you, any other opening thoughts or go for it.
The only opening thoughts I would add to yours is that I would disagree that certain things don't get explained just by saying, oh, it's magic. It is explained to an extent. And some of it you have to draw the conclusions to, like her use of magic and then getting older, that is explained in a way. And it's very subtle, these explanations.
So then you're going to need to explain or point them out when they happen, because I've seen it twice. You've seen it a lot more. So if I'm wrong, tell me. No, it's in there. It's just over here.
Well,
point that stuff out for me when we go.
Go
I'll chime in and point out that, like, we've got, a master storyteller in Neil Gaiman coming in and he doesn't always tell you, his explanations are not always verbal. Right. So, and I think that's a lot of what we're probably seeing there with Michelle Pfeiffer's character in particular and some other stuff as well. Like, you don't see what's going on, why Tristan's hair suddenly gets longer. You see it. You don't hear an explanation why. And so, and frankly, if you blink, you miss it, but, it's things like that. Right. And you don't quite, I think you get a little bit of an explanation from, about certain things from the Greek chorus that is the slaughtered princes, the prince ghosts. But they will sometimes, fill in a couple of gaps here and there, but in general, there's a lot of show don't tell in this.
Yes. And that's something that I hear you guys say a lot that you love to see in movies, is that show me, don't tell me. And this movie does so much of that.
Oh, that's for sure. And I appreciate all that. And and if I missed some of the other explanations, and I mean, it's, and the things they don't explain, it's a similar reason I get mad when people use the word plot hole to mean anything somebody doesn't explain.
Right.
It's not a plot hole. They just didn't show you the thing. Now, if somebody shows up holding a MacGuffin and you never saw them get it, that's a plot hole. I get it, right? Like, I understand. The things that left unexplained in here were so little, and they didn't really, at the end of the day, if you didn't catch it, you didn't see it, it doesn't matter. Why are they standing on a cloud? Can you do that in the laws of physics in this world? Guess you can.
I don't know. Can a star come down from the sky as a girl?
Those reasons, right? So, I don't know. Again, little things, doesn't matter. So,
and the rules of this world, of this universe, actually, not just the world, because we're talking about two different worlds in a way, is they do stick to the rules of the world, and they do tell you. And when we get to those scenes, if I catch it, then I'll add the little quip in there.
Absolutely. Please tell me for sure, because I know I'll miss those things for sure. So very cool. I don't know, Donald, anything else, or you guys are ready to dive in?
I'm ready. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, up to you guys. I'm good with whatever's. Yeah. So very, very cool. All right. Well, and Megan, so we just kind of walked through the chronology of the movie. If there's something that we skip over, or you hear me kind of go a little too fast, go, hang on, just stop us, go, hey, wait, I wanted to say something about that. Just back us up and don't let us gloss over something that you want to talk about. Please don't. That's why you're here. Okay. We had Bart on to talk Dune. He's a freaking expert in in novels. Like, he got to explain all kinds of stuff that we didn't have in the notes that we weren't thinking about. And so you absolutely are here as our resident expert. So please make sure you do. Okay. So first, we get the Royal Academy of Science. Sorry.
Wow.
I know. That wasn't a Freudian slip. Royal Academy of Science, they receive a letter, and the letter, I guess, was considered a joke. Explain this a little bit to me. So this is when they just drop you in, let me say this. There is one thing I wish in the first maybe 15 minutes they would have done a little bit more of. As I just got done talking about, I don't mind that you drop me in a world don't explain. The only thing I missed was they didn't say character names hardly at all.
Yeah.
And so very early on, I eventually figured out who was who, and I had the cast list in front of me. All that was fine. They don't say character names. They use pronouns. They say he, she, whatever. And they don't say, so I had trouble at least very, very early, because they introduced a lot of characters really quickly, of who's who and who's what. And is that person or that? Okay, I got it. I eventually got it. It's no problem. But I did notice they didn't say names of characters. And I don't know if they needed to, but I don't know. For me, that was a tiny thing. Go ahead.
I don't believe they needed to. For this opening scene, it's basically giving you the idea of there is this place called Wall, and certain people within Wall believe that if you go over or go through the gap in the wall, it will take you to this other world that has magic. And then others are skeptics, just like our world has. And when those believers send that information to the Royal Academy of Science, they're like, oh, this is farce. This is farcy. This is just fantasy hogwash.
Right.
My interpretation of this film, to show that you have our realistic world of science, and then you have the world beyond the wall.
Yeah. I struggle with how we don't get back to the Royal Academy of Science at all. That's like, if there was one thing that I would do, and I think that it would probably be, I mean, it's obviously superfluous, but like my
kind of bookend the movie.
Yeah. One way or another, kind of, the completionist in me wants to finish that parenthesis there, but they do tie it up. It's just really early, and they do it, in narration, as opposed to like one time they tell and don't show. But yeah, Megan, I'm with you. I think that the way that that this fits in the movie in my mind is it grounds it in, okay, this is time and place, and it's narrowed down very closely. Like, we don't know where exactly the village of Wall is supposed to be. It's apparently Ipswich is a long ways away.
Yeah, it's definitely in England.
Yeah,
we know it's in England.
And so then but then beyond that, it's kind of late 1800s ish when it happens. So I think the goal is to pinpoint it so that we are we're seeing this as both a period piece and a fantasy. This isn't your Beauty and the Beast. Okay, is this in the 1700s or the 1600s, or does time not exist here? What's going on with this? Is this a fairy tale, or is this? And I think the goal here was to ground it a little bit in reality of, no, there's the real world, and then there's this fantasy world, and the wall separates the two. And I think that helps with showcasing how magical everything is on the other side of the wall in Stormhold.
I agree.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And maybe that was my confusion with it, is they didn't bring it back up. Like, it doesn't mean anything. It's not like a problem. But I guess it is the one thing I'd say is what I caught the second time around was this opening was good, kind of a juxtaposition of the Royal Academy of Science obviously exists the way our real world science does, right? So it's kind of like this quick thing of telling you, yeah, I know you think this is all crap and hogwash, but no, it's not. It's all real. And I think that's what the purpose it serves, which makes sense. So now we get to the wall, and I do want to ask a question. If the wall's been there for hundreds of years, why did anybody not fill up the hole? And if you're going to fill up the hole, could someone like, I don't know, Megan have guarded it rather than like a 75-year-old, I guess, dude with like no weapons? Like what? Like I'd imagine if I wanted in, I could have just walked up to the guy and go, "What's over there?"
I at least have
the hole.
Well, obviously, but
it's meant to be. I understand it's kind of meant to be funny, and I get it. And I just was like, "There's." And then if there's no gap in the wall, it's 2 feet high. I can hop it in no.
I have
not much of a wall. Go for it, Donald.
Scott. I have an in-world answer for the part about the who.
Okay, do it.
The guard is the one who believes that the wall needs guarding, and beyond that, like there's he hasn't convinced somebody with actual skills to come and guard the wall with him, sort of thing. So or instead of him. So that to me is the thing. I've definitely. I mean the wall with the forest on the other side and the field on the other side and the hole in it is like literally the first beginning of the inspiration that Neil Gaiman had for the story. Yeah, like, oh, what if the wall is separating, another magical world, and that's how you get in. And I think, Megan, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that's the answer is like, if you don't have a hole in the wall, you don't have a story. So guess what? There's a hole in the wall.
Yeah, exactly. And if it comes back to as well is the hole is like, if we plug this hole, now does that seal off that entire world, that entire magical world, and can we never get to it then? It's like basically reconstructing a wall or a force field, and then now it's gone up completely, and we can no longer get access to it, even though it's 2 feet tall. We don't know what else is protecting it beyond that. Right. So it and that also, that gap creates that leak that brings the fantasy into our world, like the thoughts and the fairy, because you are in England, and England and Scotland is very much about the fantasy of fairy. That's
a good point. We hear in the movie, that Captain Shakespeare's heard about England, but in rumors and things like that. But I was thinking that the reverse wasn't true, but you're right. It absolutely is, because that's why we get these stories.
Well, this is what a smart ass who's only seen it twice thinks about. So I didn't catch all the nuance. Like I always say on the show a lot of times, I never form my opinion until the second watch, because I'm going to catch so much more stuff. And there's still stuff I didn't catch. There's a lot going on in this movie, if anyone didn't notice. Yeah. Anyway, so very cool. So a guy ends up jumping through the gap, doesn't seem very hard, and makes a run for it. And my only thought was, he's really the only guy doing this? Right. There's got to be other people running around. Anyway, it's fine. So anyway, he finds this giant village with a marketplace. It kind of looked like Diagon Alley kind of a thing, right? It's all kinds of weird. It looks legit until there's this moment where he glances down at a cage and there's a creature in there that's obviously not of this world.
It's a miniature 2-headed elephant, right?
Right. Yes. And that is the moment. Right. That's the moment I'm like, oh, we're in a different kind of place. Or
he sees a big glass jar full of eyeballs that then turn and look at him, and which is a nice little look.
Oh, yes. That's right. That
is very classic fantasy. The jar full of eyeballs.
Yeah,
it may, that moment reminded me of when Burke looked into the little thing and the little face hugger leapt at him. That's what I had in my head.
Along those lines,
eyeballs looked right back at him. So then he goes to this. I mean, it looks like I don't know, like a little carriage that someone that reads your palm would have or something.
Yeah,
and a caravan.
Yeah, and he meets this rather attractive woman who he starts gawking at like crazy. Well, she's laying it on thick too, so. She's not trying to get him not to flirt with her. So anyway, she gives him this flower and wants
glass
to bring
flower,
him glass flower. Yeah. And but she's tied to this thing with looks like a string. He cuts the chain and it reforms. And here's the thing: I do understand if she's, and you get it later. This is one of those WTF moments. Why is she? Why her behavior is kind of erratic here? What's going on?
Yeah.
Well, look, if you're a slave and you're chained to this thing 24/7, and she leaves, and you've got, I don't know, an hour to do whatever you want, and you're lonely. Like, I got it. It makes all the sense in the world later. It really does. I just was like, wait, what? She's
well, and especially her motivation, we find out later, I think, was to have the heir, right? So
yeah. I think that was like very minimal back in the head. Well, if this happens, it happens, but the opportunity is here. I have probably not going to get this again. I'm going
if
to.
It happens.
Yeah, I'm going to figuratively and literally jump on it.
Right.
That broke me. All right.
Well, yeah. All right. We can just, like Brev says, sometimes this can be the show. I'm good. I'm good. She broke me. She broke him too. You broke us, Megan. Yeah, I mean, no, it's
achievement
really
unlocked. It's
well, usually I'm the one saying shit like that, and he's rolling his eyes, so I feel like I have backup today.
That's right. That's right.
Oh my God. So then you learn that Stormhold is the name of the place beyond the wall.
Mm-hmm.
And we're 9 months later, and a baby gets dropped off at the doorstep of Tristan's dad. It's Tristan Thorne. So anything on this. Obviously, she can't keep the baby. She's a slave and all that stuff. Actually, and not to segue too much. Was there she escaped. I'm sorry. The brothers say it turns out to be Una, the lost sister.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only part of the movie I put together probably myself. After halfway through, I kind of figured that out.
Mm-hmm.
But did they ever explain why she was enslaved to that witch?
They do not, but you can probably draw the conclusion that she was away from her brothers, from the keep, and something happened between her and this witch, and the witch who obviously had no idea who she is, just took the opportunity to have a slave girl.
Right.
And she kind of, to me, took a very smart role in rolling with it and trying to figure out a way to escape when she knows she couldn't. Well, now I'm just going to survive, and hopefully I can make it back one day.
Scott, you were talking about the stuff that doesn't get explained. How did Dunstan go back across the wall and never return to this woman? You know,
I assumed that the carriage moved.
It does.
They kept her on the run, and I just assumed that maybe if he had tried, he wouldn't have been able to find her anyway.
I think that's the answer. Yeah.
A little surprised the witch let her
keep the baby.
The kid.
Yeah.
Well,
so
if magic can do anything, my assumption is magic could make that situation change. But I don't know.
Well, we don't know that Una has magic, though, and maybe the witch thought that she could use the baby as a bartering tool and sell the baby, probably, but before she could, Una figured out a way to get it to the father.
Yeah, and we don't get that story. If they remake it as a series, that would be part of it, right?
Yeah, I believe so too. And the other reason potentially why he didn't return was because the guard got better in his old age.
That's right.
Maybe.
So I think he kind of, I don't know.
It's fine. That guy cracks me up. It's all good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, next, Clark Kent, before his human growth hormones and steroids, bullies the hell out of Tristan, and his name's Humphrey. Of course, it's
Humphrey.
Yes,
of course, it's Humphrey, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I did recognize him the second time through. So when Tristan returns and he shows back up, I saw it in the face because he's got a facial hair and mustache, and let's not go down that road. But he's definitely not jacked at this point in his career.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure the guy
they're not showing it off either, right? So.
Right.
He's never not been in shape, but I'm assuming he didn't look like he did in Man of Steel when he had his shirt off.
I definitely didn't remember him when Man of Steel came around and he was announced as a cast member. Like I didn't be like, oh, that was him in Stardust. That's right. I'd never. I don't remember when I rewatched it and realized it, but it was a lot later. So.
Well, I did recognize Charlie Cox. No, I had the cast list in front of me, but I could recognize him more than anything. But
and for him, for Humphrey, it was a great mixture of his mannerisms were so different compared to his most recent film roles. He's still kind of suave, but he's very full of himself. But he's kind of like doing this because my options are so limited as well.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I know, very true.
I loved his role. As small as it was, it still was quite enjoyable watching him play it.
Yeah. No, I got a kick out of it. I get a kick out of looking at some of his early career because it's definitely not, I'm going to kick the shit out of you.
Right.
But very, very cool. So now Victoria, the one that everyone's pining after, at least the male leads we've seen so far, goes to the shop where he works, and she lets him walk her home, and he gets fired for leaving the job.
For letting her jump the line and then leaving to get her.
Oh, that's right. She did jump the line. That's right. I've been there where I was trying to pine for someone who really couldn't give a shit. Like, and I mean, my wife and I are high school sweethearts, so it's not like I have scores of experience with it. But I remember doing homework with a girl once, just hoping, and she didn't give a shit. She wanted help with her paper. Right. I remember stuff like that before. So I was completely identifying.
Oh man, this was my entire youth, frankly, with very few exceptions. It was punctuated with relationships, and boy, there were a lot of run-on sentences of this kind of stuff.
Thank God I met my wife, because I had, so Megan, this will date me, but I had this watch. This watch has a calculator watch. Ooh. And it was like the smartphone of the early 80s. And here's the kicker. You could store phone numbers in it. I didn't have to have an address book. I could have them in my watch. It would hold 40 phone numbers. 38 of them were girls, and I was working on all of them. And none of them. I had my own phone line as a kid. You had your own phone line. If you took up the phone line too much, your parents would pay for a second phone line so that you could just have your own phone line. I had my own phone line. And I would just run through every night. I just run through the directory. Who's home? And I was just in the friend zone of 38 of them for sure.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, I've been there.
I think all 38 were probably on my list as well.
Oh, yeah. Because I mean, our junior high wasn't exactly like
enormous.
There's a few hundred people in there. That's it. Anyway, it just cracks me up. He does have a brief conversation with his dad about fitting in. But if you guys are ready for the first scene. This is the picnic scene. So he's trying to get with Victoria. And
he's laying it all on the line. Like he's taking all his, she figures out that he's taken all of his savings at this point to buy champagne and all this big picnic stuff, in order to impress her. And, this is his shot, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it starts with that conversation. That conversation starts to happen, but if I left all this in, it would be a 12-minute scene. He starts to get close, but when the narrator comes in, that's when the scene will start. And the King of Stormhold is on his deathbed, and he gathers his sons. And I got a lot to talk about this. It cracks me up.
Yeah.
And we have Secundus gets pushed to his death. Anyway, they want to pick an heir in a non-traditional manner. All that happens. The necklace flies away. And the reason we talked about Victoria and Tristan is because they witnessed the falling star, and he's got a week to go get it. So, anyway, if you guys are ready, here we go.
Yep.
So, to the matter of succession. Of my 7 sons, there are 4 of you today still standing. This is quite a break with tradition. I had 12 brothers.
And you killed them all for your throne before your father, the king, even felt poorly. Mm-hmm. We know, Father. You're strong and courageous.
And cunning. Most importantly, cunning. Secundus.
Yes, Father?
Look through the window. Tell me what you see.
I see the kingdom, Father.
whole of Stormhold.
And
My kingdom?
maybe. Look up.
Secundus! Sextus! Quartus! Quintus! You're alive! Oh. You're,
Stuck like this till the new king is crowned.
I was that close.
Oh, well, at least you haven't lost your looks.
Oh, please, you're not annoyed about that whole murder thing, are you? I mean, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Great deal of good it did you, didn't it, killing me, Secundus? Because now, of course, now you are king of all Stormhold. Oh, sorry, wait. No, you're not. You're dead.
Una? Una?
No, Father, it's me. Your son, Tertius.
Oh. Where is your sister, Una?
Sorry, Father. Nobody has seen Una for years now.
Septimus.
What?
Tradition dictates the throne must pass to a male heir.
Exactly, Father. So why would I kill my sister when these cretins are still alive?
Indeed. Therefore, we shall resolve the situation in a non-traditional manner. Only he of royal blood can restore the ruby. And the one of you that does so shall be the new king of Stormhold.
Oh, Tristan, a shooting star. Ah, beautiful.
More beautiful than a fancy ring from Ipswich. Victoria, for your hand in marriage, I'd cross the wall and I'd bring you back that fallen star.
You can't cross the wall. Nobody crosses the wall. Now you're just being silly.
I'm not being silly. I'd do it. For you, I'd do anything.
My very own star.
Uh-huh.
It seems we have ourselves an agreement. You have exactly 1 week, or I'm marrying Humphrey.
All right. So where do we want to start here? There's a lot that just went on.
Yeah,
and I edited. I obviously it's chopped up, but
yeah,
go ahead, Donald.
this is the inciting incident, right? Like,
Yes.
obviously.
This is the catalyst of the quest.
Yes.
Right. So, first of all, I found only when I was looking up trivia and stuff that the names of the brothers are all named after the number of their birth order.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Which is really hilarious because Una's one,
right?
But because she's the only female. So I did laugh because when they're in the picnic scene, you can see their breath like a lot. Like it had to be like 35 degrees out there. Or
I
something.
actually hadn't noticed. That's
she
funny.
has this shawl on, and I think I saw her shiver just slightly once. But he's talking to her. I mean, not just a little. There's a lot of breath coming out, and I was like, wow, they're really torturing these poor actors. So let's maybe in order. I don't know, maybe in order, but does the king cast a spell? Or is that just what happens, or did they explain it? Because there's two shots where Peter O'Toole is staring like dazed, like he's possessed, and then other times he's not. And I couldn't figure out, are they just different takes, or is something he's trying to do something here? Do either of you know? It's not, and neither answer is right or wrong. I'm just asking.
Well, I believe that he knows that he is on his final breaths, and it is a way that he can basically give his sons the chance to become the king in a new way. So with his, you could say, dying breath, he changes the stone, and that's him casting the spell, because not all spells need words to be casted. So this could be one explanation.
I like it. I kind of felt like he wasn't using magic. He was employing this magical tool, like it is an enchantment that he can interact with because he's of royal blood, and the magic is not coming from him unless you want to call the blue blood with literally blue blood. We find out later. Right. It has some kind of magical properties, maybe, but
I think that makes sense. Yeah. And to Megan's point, I mean, not to be grim, my father in his last moments, that's kind of the look on the face. So yeah, I didn't think about that, Megan. That makes sense. And again, I'm not looking for some answer that makes me like it or dislike it. I just I just wasn't sure, because I'm sure there's a lot I missed.
Among all of the great cast involved in this movie, like Peter O'Toole is amazing in this. I saw some behind the scenes with Matthew Vaughn and the director, and he said, a lot of the stuff that they were doing when they were casting, they were just kind of laying down, okay, well, for this role, boy, wouldn't it be great to get Peter O'Toole? And he just laughed like, yeah, that would be amazing. That's never going to happen. And then they ask and he does it. So that happened over and over and over, which is awesome.
Yeah, I remember Tim Burton, when he did his Planet of the Apes, he was like, hey, I wonder if we could get Charlton Heston, and son of a bitch, he did it. So yeah, I totally know what you mean. It's great. Now, the concept of killing your brothers and sisters so that you can ascend to crowns is not exactly historically inaccurate. It's happened all the time throughout history. Yeah. It's been in lots of stuff. The part that was throwing me, and I went from, I think it's fine, to, wow, that was really weird, to now I totally understand the reason it's this way. I just thought it was odd that they treat it so cavalierly. Like,
well, he treats it cavalierly, right?
The dad's like, why haven't you killed all your brothers? Like, Jesus, really? And they all are like, oh, that's just part of the fucking deal. You just kill your brothers around here. And the witches do it later. Yeah. Everybody in this movie seems to be like fine with killing siblings, which, again, I understood what the purpose was. I think my interpretation was it's specifically meant for comic relief. They made it kind of funny.
Go ahead.
I agree with the comic relief for the spirits once they've passed on, 100%. But while they're still alive, it is the culture, and we don't understand every culture, which brings us back to reality and makes sense. And the fact that they do not kill the sisters is what's interesting too. They only care about killing the brothers. So if they have sisters, they're fine. Like Una,
they're not going to get anything out of it because there has to be a male heir.
Exactly. Yeah. So I love it when Mark Strong as Septimus is brilliant. I love him in this role, and he even gives the exasperation expression of, why would I care to kill her? She serves no purpose. And so that they all love her, I think, for that reason, even though they're not searching for her, because they want to be the king.
Yeah. And since love is the theme of this movie, like, the royal family here, all these brothers and the dad really are, I think, and, at least as evil as the witches. The witches just have more magic involved, and the brothers have political power, right? To be able to go, and money, obviously, to be able to travel. So
and again, I don't have any problem with it. I just was like, it was, and I understand. Okay, they're kind of being covered. Now, the brothers acting like that. When I said there are moments they don't explain, we're like, oh yeah, we're ghosts until a new heir is found. Why? Because reasons. That's what I meant. These are the moments that are like they don't explain them, and who cares? It's just not.
That is the explanation. That's all you get.
Yeah.
Right. And that's fine. That's all I meant. When these moments happen, these are the things I'm talking about. Like, why? And the only thing I would say is I wished, and we talk about all the time, just because I say I want more of something, it usually is a compliment to what we had, because I wanted more of it. Right. I wanted more Mark Strong. Yeah. Like I really wish he had a bigger part. It's funny, in the book, I understand, and I did not read it, that Lamia is not really a big character, but because they got Michelle Pfeiffer to do it, they really expanded her role for the film version. I wish Mark Strong would have had more screen time. It doesn't mean what we got sucked. It was great. Yeah. And then the only other part was I wish they'd have done something a little bit more with the ghosts, because it was almost like they were Statler and Waldorf to whatever was going on screen. Like we'll just cut over here and see what they're laughing about, which is funny. And there were some funny moments, like when the guy's killed in the tub, now he's naked forever. Like there's some pretty funny. There was some pretty funny stuff with it for sure. I was struggling with like, does this thing will it have more bearing later? Will one of them get to come back? Like, I just wasn't sure. I didn't know. It didn't matter. But it was funny. And I love how they all kind of look. It was almost like Beetlejuice. They all kind of looked like what happened around their death or the reason for it or whatever. Like Beetlejuice, this is what happens when he dies.
Like Septimus stayed wet.
Right.
Or the smushing of the face, and you can kind of get the idea of how they died. And I love the juxtaposition of they are so serious in life, and then when they die, they're very cavalier. They're, as you said, about everything. They bring out this sense of humor that they're like, "Oh, I'm dead. Well, nothing really matters anymore. We can make all these comments." And I think bringing the ghost back, it has the effect in the end because of the fight scene. So
what do you mean? Like how do you mean?
So, and I can bring this up when we get to the fight scene too. Is that if you don't have the ghost there, if you don't have Septimus there showing that he is dead, you could believe that what happens is he is alive and being controlled. Yeah. But because you know he's dead,
you can tell it's just a husk. It's just the body. It's just the corpse being manipulated magically.
Oh yeah, I guess that's right. That's a great. That's a great way to put it.
Plus, you get them, recognizing Una right away, as opposed to they're voicing that, as opposed to one of the other characters voicing that, which is
so it's really funny. What's really funny, you guys? Did Megan? Did you get a chance to go see the new Doctor Strange movie in the theater?
I did.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I saw 2 movies in 2 weeks back to back where a corpse was reanimated for purposes of fighting. And that's just a really weird random coincidence.
Yeah.
Which is great. I just thought it was funny. When that part happened, I was like, wow, the last movie. Spoilers, kids. Sorry.
You know what? Top Gun Maverick is going to be the same way. Yeah.
Their Goose is going to come back and they're going to animate him and he's going to fly a jet.
Ghost jet.
Like ghost trains. No, I'm sorry.
Ghost Goose, Ghost Jet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Rick and Morty, the ghost train guy. Oh no, he's going to summon a ghost train.
Talk to me, ghost.
That shows his penis. Anyway, so the last thing I'd say on this scene is I thought Victoria was going to do what a lot of both men and women do when someone's interested in them and there's no reciprocal. That is, I'm going to lead you on like I kind of give a shit to get more free shit out of you. But what shocked me was at the end, she's like, all right, yeah, I'm in. Now, we all know it's for material stuff only. Mm-hmm. She only gives a shit whoever's going to bring her the biggest thing or the most thing that she can brag about. Is it Humphrey going all the way to Ipswich? That whole conversation was hilarious.
That's great.
Ipswich, like I'm sure it sounds like the town's like 3 days away by horse.
It feels like that. Yeah.
He's like Ipswich, like that's it. Like you're impressed by that. That was really funny to me. Mm-hmm. But when she says, "Yeah, I'll do it," now you understand. Oh my God, she is. I mean, you already knew. Oh, okay, what I'm saying is she might have actually loved Humphrey and had affections for him. We don't know that. And then in this moment, it's very clear she doesn't really have affection for anybody. She's just whoever's going to impress me the most wins, right? So, it's your signal at the end that while the main character got what he wanted, which is a chance with her, the rest of us in the audience like, okay, now you need to ditch her like tomorrow or immediately, right?
Also, we see Tristan's character growth through this and realizing so right now between him and Victoria, that veil of lust and love is just all over him. He is completely fogged up by it, and the veil lifts and he sees through it all. He has become less narrow-minded and he has opened his mind and his eyes to the greater things in life.
So one of the main, you're right. And one of the main themes that we get in this movie, it's kind of laid out a little bit more later, is unconditional love. And, Victoria is definitely putting conditions on her love. Like it's all conditions, right? And it's, arguably not even love, right? Because it is conditional. Mm-hmm. And, so it's one of those things of what do you give someone you love and what do you expect in return? And we get that answer through the course of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So the next scene is where we see Lamia and her sisters. They talk about the star that fell and they need to go find it, but they're going to basically have to go on foot or horseback, whatever. They can't just teleport to where it is. That's the problem. Right.
Right.
And they discuss, they've had this other star for 400 years and they have what's left of it. And there isn't much left. And we see her swallow it to get younger. I will say I was impressed by this aspect. Megan, I know you may know this. Do you know the other movie? And in fact, it's directed by the guy who directed the last movie we just did that used the character of Lamia or that name. Do you remember where you've heard it?
Well, I've heard that name used in a couple other ones.
Sam Raimi in Drag Me to Hell.
That the old lady, yes.
Well, that's the spirit that's haunting the main character.
Yes.
It's a demon called Lamia.
Oh.
And I thought when I just watched this movie, I was like, oh, that's really interesting. Same name. Then the trivia. No, that's deliberate. It's all three witches are named after a hell demon or a old god or an evil god or something. That was deliberate. So I was actually thrilled by it. I was like, I recognize this name. Oh, I wonder if it's the same thing. No, it actually was meant to be the same thing. So I just thought that was really awesome.
Very cool. I obviously didn't know that. So yeah.
And I'm a big horror fan, so I haven't watched that movie in a couple years now. So
yeah. No, it's just random. And I think the only reason I had it in my brain is we'd just done a Sam Raimi movie. And so I think it was just in my brain. But anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Before we get to Lamia and her sisters, Yvain we do see her as she crashes. That whole shot was done in with miniatures and was done with some special effects, but they did the crater, the trees burning in a miniature form. And then this tells the audience that she fell because of the necklace, because of the diamond. And when she picks it up, now oh, well, now she has a target because she's wearing it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah. Cause she does wake up and she does put it on. I wanted to see, yeah, it is. And I was confused with who she was. I didn't understand she was. I didn't watch the trailer before I watched the movie. I wanted nothing. I didn't read a synopsis. I read nothing. So I was a little confused. And then it's funny, after I watched the movie and I went to cut the trailer, they talk about it in the trailer. I was like, I purposely avoided this, so that's on me. But no, you're not wrong. Now, talk a bit, Megan, about Michelle Pfeiffer, I guess her reveal. I liked this a lot. It was really interesting when she was old. I was like, well, I've seen the poster at least. I know she doesn't always look like this, and all she had to do is like eat the star, and she's and they were saving it for a rainy day, I guess they were saving what's left to be able to do exactly this.
Yes, exactly.
There's going to be a day we're going to have to leave and go do a thing, and we're going to need this, and so we're going to keep it instead of fighting over it or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. What did you think about her reveal?
I love the little quips that the sisters have with each other. You show the relationship between them, and you see that even she's like, there really isn't much left. And then when she eats it, the transformation is absolutely gorgeous. And I remember just thinking that Michelle Pfeiffer in 2006, 2007 was already, I think, in her 40s at that time.
Late 40s. Yeah.
Late 40s. And I was like, oh my gosh, she looks absolutely gorgeous. And she looks this good at this age.
Right.
That's something I want to aspire to be no matter what. So
she was 60 in Ant-Man. I mean,
yeah, she's gorgeous. Like,
it's not fair. Yeah, it's awfully cruel.
And so when they show that transformation, and then you see her looking at herself and dazzling, his sisters are like, I could tell you from a female perspective that they're like, oh, whatever. Oh my gosh. And then she drops the robe like, oh, really? We're going to go through this again. So it was a lovely little, no dialogue, all body expressions of this going through it. And then when we go to afterwards, when she like says that basically she's going to go after the star, and you guys brought up the reason why. So why they haven't been using it for this rainy day? They've been waiting for another star to fall. That's why when they do the reveal of the big scene of where they live, it's all decrepit. It's covered in spider webs. It's covered in,
because they can't use their magic or it'll kill them. Like if they keep going, it seems like they can't just cast a spell to clean up the house because because
something they establish is that they're already 400 years old. Well, they've done this a couple of times.
Right.
So they're already ancient as it is. And if they use it unwisely, they understand what the consequences are.
So is it that, and if they never explain it, it's entirely fine. But you guys tell me, do they explain that? Is it dark magic that's making them age, or is it using magic just kind of runs the star energy out quicker? And that's actually the only thing that's going on here, is that what you gained from the star, as you use magic, you lose it. Did they ever explain any of that in there or not? It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just asking because I'm really interested. Sounds like no.
Go ahead.
I mean, it seems like my headcanon, let me put it that way, is once she is renewed and rejuvenated from eating the star, if she never used magic again, then she would probably live, a kind of a normal and age a normal life. I think it's, but I also think that using the magic uses that up faster, and I don't think that these women decide to ever not use magic if they can help it. And so it's like torturing them that they are existing without being able to clean up themselves and the house and anything else and exert power over other people and things like that. So,
right. And that's where I would agree with you. And also it is the type of magic they're using. I want to say the type of witchcraft they're using costs a toll on them not having basically a sacrifice to make. So if you think of alchemy, you can't put nothing and get something. So by them using magic, they're using their kind of life essence.
That's true. And Una in the almost first scene with Dunstan, when she's trying to sell him that snowdrop magic flower, the glass flowers, he talks about, how much are these glass flowers? And she says, well, it might be the color of your hair or all your memories before 3. And we kind of think she's joking because she just asked for a kiss, but I think it's consistent that there is a trade-off for witchcraft. And, and that's what that is.
Yeah,
I think you're right. I think you just nailed it. I think that's right because she's, there's a trade. Okay.
And this is something that you see in a lot of ancient fairy tales and modern fairy tales, hammered in due to the TV show. Oh my gosh, now I'm blanking on it. There's a character from a TV show that says all magic comes with a price, at a cost, at a price. So
what is that?
It was the character of Rumpelstiltskin who says it, and there's always a cost to everything.
Yeah. I do remember that from Rumpelstiltskin, but I don't remember if there was in a show or something.
I believe it was called Storybrooke or...
okay.
So that's the reason why she ages when she begins to use magic again, and she is very much open about using her magic to get her gains because she believes that she'll get to her end goal.
Right. I wonder if it was in Once Upon a Time.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
Once Upon a Time.
And I never watched Once Upon a Time. I'm just trying to think of a logical show in which it would have appeared.
The town was Storybrooke. That's right.
Yep.
Look, I'm smart.
Thank you.
I'm smart. I'm just kidding. I will say the reveal of her when she dropped her clothes, I was like, you know what? I know she's 50, 49. Don's right. She was 49 when it aired. I was like, Since Grease 2, I've been waiting for this moment, and you're going to hide it from me. Really? This isn't fair. And I'm sure, like, on set, she actually had stuff on. I have no doubt. It's a PG-13 fantasy. They're not going to do that. But I was like, that now you're just pissing me off. Oh, my God. It is just funny. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I just love the end to that scene is her giving the little wink and ooh to herself. So that... I have a feeling throughout this entire production, the cast was having a great time, and it was a very positive, healthy environment throughout the whole thing.
Seems like it. I get that idea as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like that might be. Well, Tristan arrives at the wall to cross to go get the star. And the old guard kicks the shit out of him. Which again, it wasn't much. I was sitting there like, my kids are black belts. They could probably take this guy.
Well, you've seen Tristan though.
Yeah.
No, I know. You're not wrong. And anyway, his dad starts asking me like, why did you want to cross? And then his son's like, well, why did you want to cross anyway? They start having this, but yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Megan. I don't mind the old man. I don't mind the rule of the game is you just don't cross. You can't. I get it. I'm fine with it. I just laughing my head off because I just thought it was funny.
It is funny.
It is very funny, and it proves that even an old man can learn how to defend himself. And I love the actor of that old man because he was also in the remake of
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
He was Grandpa Joe. And seeing him just kind of beat the crap out of Tristan, it also shows Tristan's lack of self-confidence, lack of really wanting to hurt people. He doesn't want to hurt the old man. He just wants to get around him. And old man just kicks him when he's down.
He's innocent and he is naive. And he just doesn't have he's not confident, but he also is not even competent.
That's it.
In a lot of ways. So that's what we're seeing at this point.
Well, if you're kind of ready for the next scene, Yvonne wakes up and puts the necklace on. But the next scene is basically we're getting this movie does not do a lot of exposit scenes. There's not a lot of just here, we're going to explain a bunch of stuff, which is what I'm telling you. I admire that about the film because I don't need you to do that all the time. I don't mind when you do because we need a lot of answers. Tristan is the audience. He doesn't know this exists. He doesn't get what's going on. You could tell him everything and we need to know. But anyway, there's a letter from his mother that he finally gets, and then there's the Babylon candle in there. He gets transported and wakes up next to Yvonne. Is it Yvain or just Vane? Do they put the do they say it?
Yvain. Yvain, yeah.
Or Yvain. Yeah.
I didn't know that his name in the book was Tristan, but nobody could say that. Like on set, they had trouble even just blurting it out, especially quickly. It's said once in the movie, but his name they changed it because Tristan on paper is easy. Saying that over and over again, I'm sure would be just hell.
Yeah.
And it sounds funny. Yeah. It does. So even the author said, yeah, it's cool. Let's change his name. It makes more sense.
Would tie the tongue.
Yeah, it kind of would, right? Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So anyway, she wakes up as Tristan arrives and they meet, and he was thinking of his mother, but then the star popped in his head. He's horny and that's what he wants. So it's all good. Anyway, and then he finally tethers her to him. And here is that scene.
I have a mother. I mean, I have a mother. She could still be alive.
Oh, I hope so. Certainly like to think so.
The chain you cut. Just like you said.
And
the glass flower, the flower she sold to you.
She told me it would bring me luck.
Thank you.
This was also in the basket. I've never opened it. It's addressed to you.
My dearest Tristan, please know that I only ever wanted the best for you.
Had my mistress allowed it, I would have kept you in a heartbeat. My dearest wish is that we will meet someday. The fastest way to travel is by candlelight. To use it, Think of me and only me. I will think of you every day, for always.
Your mother.
Well, do you have a light?
Mother? Oh, Mother, I'm so sorry. Are you all right?
No, I'm not, and I'm not your mother, so get off me!
You're not my mother?
Do I look like I'm your mother?
No. Sorry. Well, are you all right? Do you want some help?
You can help by leaving me alone.
All right. Oh my God, light the candle and think of me. I was thinking of my mother. But then Victoria and the star just popped into...
Oh, excuse me, madam, sorry. This may seem strange, but have you seen a fallen star anywhere?
Oh, you're funny.
No, really, we're in a crater. This must be where it fell.
Yeah, this is where it fell. It is. Or, if you want to be really specific, up there's where this weird bloody necklace came out of nowhere and knocked it out of the heavens when it was minding its own business. And over there is where it landed. And right here, this is where it got hit by a magical flying moron.
You're the star. You're the star? Really? Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I had no idea you'd be a... May I just say in advance that I am sorry.
Sorry for what?
For this. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this means you have to come with me. See, you're going to be a birthday gift for Victoria, my true love.
But of course. Nothing says romance like the gift of a kidnapped, injured woman. I'm not going anywhere with you.
Okay, so did his dad give her that necklace thing? It had to be in there, right?
Wait.
Something. Like, how did Tristan get the magical chain that everyone seems to have one of?
Yeah, it was there with when he got the flower too.
Letter?
Yes.
The letter, the flower, the candle.
Okay.
The letter, the flower, the candle. Yep. That was all.
I will find this funny. The Babylon candle, Tristan uses it twice in the movie and he fucks it up both times.
Yep.
Like, he never does it correctly. And I also found it funny with Ewry. So I read that like ScarJo and Anne Hathaway and I think Jessica Alba all turned it down. There may even be more. And the Babylon candle thing is actually from the nursery rhyme. It's here, wait, let me find it again. It's from the nursery rhyme from the 19th century. How many miles to Babylon? 70 miles and 10. Can I get there by candlelight? Yes, and back again. That's where we found it.
I do remember that little story.
I think I heard it like twice.
I don't think I've ever heard that. I did have a question just thinking here, and I don't remember catching it whenever I saw the movie, but was the chain that his father had in the attic there with him, when he first grabbed it, was it doing its magical linkage thing then?
No, it was just a single
it was inert.
Piece.
It was a little piece, but it was inert. It wasn't like, I remember at some point it kind of linked up, but
it was inert because he wasn't trying to use it to ensnare something.
Well, and he was on the other side of the wall too. It was my point.
Oh, yes, you're right. And he's on the other side of the wall. Okay. So, and that's the main reason I believe is because he was on the other side of the wall.
Okay. Mm-hmm. That works.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
The candle obviously worked both sides, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Oh.
No, I didn't know if you were going to say anything. No. So I find that why did she fall to Earth? I understand the King of Stormhold's spell to say, hey, the real heir is going to get this necklace, the ruby will turn red. All that stuff makes sense. It's fine. What does that have to do with going up into the air and grabbing a star and coming back down. And I'm just asking you both because I'm sure you both know more than me. I love the movie, you guys. I'm going to sit here for the next whatever and sing its praises. What is that connection? Because I even after a couple of times, I'm not sure, like, I'm not going to say the words plot hole. Fuck everybody. I'm not saying those words.
No, it's not a plot hole is not the right word for it, but it is
a conundrum.
Convenient, right?
So it's not explained.
I don't think it's evident.
Unless here's my explanation. The Force. And what I mean by the Force is the magic spell was find the air. Well, the way to find the air, the universe knew, or the Force knew, was get this star down here. He's going to not fall in love with Victoria. He's going to fall in love over here. That's going to connect him to everything else going on. It's a way to pull Tristan in to what needs to happen.
To destiny.
Same with Luke Skywalker. Like, why did he happen to be in the right place at the right time? The Force, right? So that's my explanation in my headcanon.
It's as good a reason as anything.
It just the universe just understands this series of events is going to get him to the finish line, and he's the actual true heir. And to get there, we have to set all this in motion. So that's what we're going to do. So there's my headcanon.
The other theory and I read this a long time ago too, is that they believe that the diamond isn't necessarily pure diamond. It is actually was made and crafted from Stardust.
Oh,
and upon basically turning it back to a diamond, a clear diamond, it looks like a star, and that is where it potentially would go. And when it got hit by another star, the collision caused it to return back to Earth with the star. So
gotcha.
That's a theory that I read a long time ago, and I read it again somewhere, but I really like that theory. And otherwise, there really is no direct reason why the diamond would do that besides Destiny's child.
I kind of assumed that the books explains way more than you get in the movie. It always does. And I assumed a lot of this stuff just was in the movie, and like we just don't have time and just kept moving, which is fine. It's fine. Yep. So that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you. I'm with you. I don't know anything else more on this scene or the introduction of them or Donald, anything? No. All right. So the brothers then start arguing about who should be king, and get the necklace. They have a toast that the bishop dies, then another one, and they're poisoning everybody. And Septimus confesses. It's pretty funny. Again, they're making light of the fact that everyone's just going to try to kill everybody. Like, a part of me just didn't know why they didn't just go, all right, everybody outside, get your swords, last man standing. I don't know. It's fine.
Because cunning was the better trait, right? So.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
And even their sister Una is cunning. She showed that by seducing Dunstan.
Yep.
Right. Well, Lamia sets out to get the star. Tristan then promises and shows her the Babylon candle, and there's barely one use left. So they kind of can't use it yet because he could return her to the sky with it, and they all kind of know that. But they've only got one use left, and so they don't do that. And he promises, "Hey, help me, come with me. We'll get you home." Lamia then turns another guy into a goat, but it's the first moment that to help pull her carriage or whatever. But it's the first moment you see her start turning old, and she gets all the liver spots on her hands, which again, you don't have to explain it necessarily, just because the reason it's a very smart writing device, she's too powerful otherwise.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't have some kind of a limitation on her power, it's the same reason in the battle at the end of Endgame, they took Doctor Strange off the playing field by making him hold back the Hudson River, because if he was in the middle of what was going on, he could have easily turned the tide. And when Cap and Iron Man and Thor are fighting Thanos, if he'd have been over there, it would have been different. So I just liked the idea of giving her a limitation, making it so, because that later when she kind of creates the N out of nothing, like, man, she can kind of do whatever the hell she wants, and we got to limit that somehow.
This also gives her, a bit of a timeline, a countdown of like the game Hangman, right? Like, she uses a little bit, and she ages a little bit, and she uses a lot. She ages a lot more, and there's an end, like there's a time limit for her as well, not just a power limit.
And
Go ahead.
What's the time limit?
Well, she's got to do it. She's got to succeed in getting the star before she runs out of, it's a resource limit.
Yeah. And even her sisters bring it up later on in the film that the amount of magic you use will come at a toll, and even using the ring to contact them will end up being too much for her.
Okay.
And she'll be... Yeah.
If she doesn't use any magic, does she stay Michelle Pfeiffer? Or no, eventually that'll run out?
I think she ages normally at that point.
Right.
That's my guess.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
All right. That makes sense. I'm with you. Septimus heads out with his men, and then the other brother, I got their names messed up. Yeah, Primus. And the dead ones are waiting. Tristan and Yvonne talk a little bit out walking, but then we get to another scene where Lamia sees the other witch on the road, which is the witch that we've run into with Una earlier.
Is it Dishwater Sue?
Ditchwater
Sal. I got it all wrong.
And she knows who she is. She gets tricked with a pretty... maybe we need to talk about this after we play the scene, but there's obviously a hierarchy and levels to witchcraft, and they are not on the same level, and they both know it. Anyway, the traveling witch uses a pretty cheap, little potion or kind of some polyjuice potion kind of a thing, making her just talk, and she gets insulted that she kind of fell for it. Anyway, she casts another spell, basically saying you're never gonna see the star, hear it, feel it, be it around. Anyway, and then if you'll hear this roll into if Yvain needs to rest and wants to take a chill pill for a minute, and he ends up tying her to a tree. Anyway, let's play all of this because I do want to talk about this because it's pretty cool. Here we go.
So, stranger, where are you headed off to on this fine day?
I seek a fallen star. She fell not far from here. And when I find her, I shall take my great knife and cut out her heart while she still lives. And the glory of our youth shall be restored.
Fallen star? That's the best news I've had in ages. I could do with losing a few years myself. So whereabouts is it?
Limbus grass. You dare to steal truth from my lips by feeding me limbus grass. Do you have any idea what a big mistake you've made, Ditchwater Sal?
How do you know who are you?
Look again.
I shall not seek the star, your dark majesty. I swear.
Seek all you wish. You shall not see the star, touch it, smell, or hear it. You will not perceive her, even if she stands before you. Pray you never meet me again, Ditchwater Sal.
Right, so let me get this straight. You think you know we're going the right way because, and I quote, I just do.
I do, though. I don't know why. Maybe it's my love for Victoria guiding me home. Yvonne, whether you like it or not...
Vane. My name is Vane, so how many times do I have to... Would you please slow down?
Yes. Look, we're going north, all right? The wall's north. And if you look up in the sky, even during the day, you can see the evening star. That's so weird.
It's funny. Hilarious. My sides are splitting.
No, I'm being sick. Wait, that was you? Really? What are you doing?
What does it look like I'm doing? I'm sitting down. I'm tired.
Please don't do this again. We agreed we'd stop off at the next village to eat and rest.
Come on, Tristan. It's midday. I never stay up this late. Just, please, let me sleep.
Okay, you sleep. I'll go and get something to eat.
So this is the moment where I think my head canon about what is the connection between the necklace and the star happened, because she said, how do you know the way you're going? I quote, you just know. I think this is the King of Stormhold's spell trying to get itself to do what it was asked to do, which is find the air. Yeah. And the force, or I guess the universe, is getting things in line to make that happen. And it's this moment that I thought that when she says this, it's like, okay, there's something else going on here that's pulling things in this direction, and we can't see it and we can't perceive it. And I think this is it. So that's why it was this conversation I don't know if that makes any sense.
That does, yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe I'm nuts. And then talk about, because you guys may know more about it or more about the backstory. It appears that, like, okay, there's Force users and then there's Darth Vader. And one of these realized, oh shit, who's standing in front of me? She immediately begs for mercy. I mean, honestly, and gets on her knees like, oh my God, I am so sorry. Right. But is that, it's obviously meant to set up that there's levels to the game, and the Michelle Pfeiffer character, you better be damn scared of. Like, she's kind of a bitch, you know, the one enslaving people and
Adversary 3 or whatever. Yeah. I've not seen a movie in a long time that is so translatable to like Dungeons and Dragons as this movie. Like, there's so much that just plays straight into, you know, just some pretty straightforward powers, you know, that are in D&D, which I like. I mean, it's very accessible, I think, even though it's stuff that we haven't necessarily seen before, you know, in different ways, but it's very intuitive, I think.
Right. Yeah. And as far as the hierarchy go, we've seen hierarchy with witches. Like, you think back to the witches, you have the Grand High Witch, and then you have all the witches underneath, and then you have the good witches. Well, now you see she is the Grand High Witch. She is the ancient. In the book, she's called the Witch Queen. And then you have Ditchwater Sal, who is just a kind of basic run-of-the-mill witch. And that's where you see the groveling and the scared and being that way.
So in the book, am I correct that Lamia's not really in it much? What's her role in the book compared to this?
So I will admit, I read the book back when this first came to theater because I wanted to see it, but I have not read it since then, been meaning to. I do know that her backstory is a little bit more fleshed out. You know that she's ancient. Her and her sisters are ancient, but in the book, the sisters aren't given a name, I believe. And and that's what I was reading through, or listening to the extras on the Blu-ray as well. So it just doesn't go as in depth in this movie.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure. I just read somewhere that she kind of had a bit part, or at least, I don't know, definitely scaled back, right? Excuse me. And then I will say, the moment of you're not going to even perceive the star if she stands in front of you, I knew that was going to pay off later. Like, you could tell, and it was pretty cool when it did. So I thought that was very, very cool. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. I looked it up real quick to try to correct myself. So in the book, they're called the Lilum. So they're the three old women of great power, and the eldest, which is Lamia, is the Witch Queen. And because they're so old, they've lost their original name, and they only go by that group name.
Nice.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah.
So after this, and I wish they'd have kind of got on this a little bit more, but Septimus brings the soothsayer, which is, I'm wondering if there's a deleted scene with the soothsayer, because basically basically at some point Septimus asked the soothsayer, well, where am I supposed to go? And he did the, you know, witch magic-y thing. He rolled a bunch of dice and, you know, consulted his game master chart and then said, this is where you're going. And he's pissed. So we just didn't get a scene with that having happened. It doesn't need to be there, but I could be so wrong. And you've got the Blu-ray and you've seen every deleted scene. Is there a scene where he goes to the soothsayer and that happens?
So there is no introduction to the soothsayer beyond this scene itself of basically he brought the soothsayer to use the runes, and the runes are not witchcraft. They are just rune magic of these magical items that are a tool to be able to tell you kind of what you want to know in yes or no answer form. And anybody can really do it if you know how the trick is done. It's a simple sort of magic that doesn't cost much of anything. And even Lamia later, you can see her using the runes as well. And
yes, right away they do a smash cut between the two, which is pretty cool.
Yes, so I agree with you. There was no really need to introduce him beyond this part, and then he figures out that something's not right, and he figures out he's working for his brother, and because Septimus is the most cruel of them all and the most easy to go to violence, of course he kills him.
Yeah,
it is funny when he starts making him tell the truth with the runes, which is pretty cool. So it does tell you that no, that's a real thing. Soothsaying's a real thing, just he's lying.
Yes.
But because if you have Septimus get too close too quick, it's going to fuck up what's going on. It's a great thing. It's like no. And it was after this moment I realized, okay, he's going to show up at the end, and he's not going to arrive anytime sooner because we just took him off the beaten path and took him out into the field.
I mean, and these scenes together. So the one with I just know which way to go, but then the other two need runes to figure out which way to go, and so it's showing each of these three teams or groups basically how they're operating within the world of like how to go. And we don't really know how Tristan does it, but we at least know that the runes are working, and that's how they can figure out where to go with each other in relation to each other, which I think that's cool. And they don't revisit it that much because they don't need to. It's just like answers the question of how do they know where to get around? And it's not really answered for Tristan, but at best, he kind of had an idea from rules of his, following the stars and things like that, but it wasn't quite working for him. I kind of felt like he didn't know where he was going by this point. Was kind of the gist that I got, but clearly they end up converging, at one point here,
right?
With the witch, right? So.
And that's the only thing that I would say is my real critique of the movie is either Tristan has a really good sense of direction, because this comes into play towards the end when we get to the final scene of how does he know where to go? And if he does, what is he doing to figure it out?
Oh, I have an answer when we get there.
Okay.
What I think is going on.
Okay.
All right. No, I think we're all hovering around the the answer. So Yvain waits by the tree and hears some noises, and it's a unicorn that then frees her. And that's not the last time a unicorn's gonna. So again, this is why I think it's the Force. The universe out there's like somebody needs. We're getting off the path here, and the king set it in motion with that spell. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have to do some things, and the universe has to kind of help from just telling him where to go to the unicorn just busting out of nowhere and doing what it needs to do, which is fantastic. Anyway, and then the next thing that happens is the one that you talked about, Megan, where Lamia calls back her sisters, and they're like, all right, you probably need to stop doing this. And then they start reading entrails, which is interesting. I heard that they wanted to, I guess the movie studio forced the animals that were going to be used needed to be more obscure, because I guess it was going to be like a pig and a cat, and they're like, no, you need to make it like stuff nobody's going to lose sleep over, like an alligator or whatever. Which I mean, I don't care. It's the purpose of the movie is to do more soothsaying with entrails and innards, I guess. Mm-hmm. Which is again, I think it's separating the different types of magic there are. And that's definitely dark magic.
And that was
and they had a whole bunch of cages of shit.
Yeah, they
waiting that their purpose was to be kept alive until it's time to sacrifice you to do a thing.
Yeah,
so,
and reading that was a real way to try to do augury, divination. So.
Yep, and they even bring that up early in the film too, on how they got to pick who got to consume the rest of the star.
And she peeks.
Yeah, she peeks. She's like, I have his liver, I have his kidney, and I have his heart. So that was a beginning to, we know that they're going to get even more in depth with it. So,
oh my God, it's so gross.
Mm-hmm.
A lot different from our world where we just posed by a deer head. So anyway, Tristan shows up. Yvain's gone. Lamia then turns the goats back into people. This is where I was joking in the monologue. Turns one into a woman, and then Billy is his name, which is gets turned into a human. She makes this giant hotel out of nothing. And she didn't really age. Like I thought, man, to do that, she should look like, I don't know, the woman from Titanic or something at this point. Because she did one little thing, like she calls home and she gets liver spots. She creates a hotel out of nothing, and there's some more liver spots. It's okay. I can make more hotels. It's funny. But anyway, it's very cool. Anyway, then now again, the Force, the stars start talking to Tristan.
Yep.
You can hear, and I'm wondering, maybe that's another way that it happened. Maybe he's just being spoken to and we didn't hear it.
Yeah.
That could have been it. Go ahead.
And that could have been the thing with the unicorn as well, is it's the universe, the stars are trying to help her. So that's why they send the unicorn. And the stars, yeah. And the stars are trying to warn him because he's the only one that's going to be able to help her.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going into a trap, like they're in trouble. And that's what they're like, that hotel's going to be a problem.
Right. And then
They talk about the last time a star fell, those witches found it, killed them, or killed it, whatever. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So anyway, then Tristan starts running, and he actually runs into Primus, right?
Yes.
Runs into him. They go to get a ride. Go ahead, Donald. Sorry.
Oh no, he like literally runs into the side of the carriage.
Right. That's right. On purpose.
Yeah. I thought that was a great just scene of him running straight into it, and dang, that looked like it hurt.
Well, I think he was, I do think he was trying to do like the hood slide or whatever, but just totally biffed it because he's not that guy yet, sort of thing. And, but he gets the guy's attention. And I think it's cool that he appeals to Primus's, like, hey, fate is bringing us together for something. Let's join together for now, sort of thing, which is that shows a little bit of creativity, right? On his part to be able to convince Primus to give him a ride.
And the book, and Neil Gaiman even said, with Primus is the oldest and he is the most kind, and he's portrayed as being the most benevolent of the sons. That's why everybody wants him to be king, because he would be a good king.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes more sense. I don't think I caught on some of that nuance.
Well, the bishop was trying to get him to be.
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. That makes sense. Anyway, so they then end up at the hotel. They end up at the inn. Yvain finds it. Lamia lets her in. Lamia knows exactly what's going on. And then Billy's there. Billy's all fucked up. That was pretty funny. I was getting a kick out of. He wouldn't use his arms ever.
That's right.
I was very surprised they got Mark Williams, who I recognize him from, of course, the Harry Potter films.
Yeah.
And from other things too. But that was a great character part for him.
Yeah.
What was he? What was he in?
He was Ron Weasley's dad.
Yes.
Arthur Weasley.
Of course. Oh
Arthur Weasley, yeah.
Wow. That was a few pounds ago.
What is the use of a rubber duck?
What do you mean?
What?
That was one of the things he asked Harry.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
yes.
That's right. Well. Sorry, I thought we were talking about rubber ducks in the movie. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you what, the next scene we'll play here is a bit of it's a lot of stuff over about a 10-minute period, but it's kind of a lot of stuff happens here. Yvain is offered a bath, and I know that sounds more, I don't know. Back then, just having a hot water and enough of it to have a bath was a rarity to run into. So it's a perk that even in Red Dead Redemption 2, just getting a bath is like a thing you pay for.
And for what it's worth, Yvain is trying to fit in as a human. She's not used to doing that. She's seen people take baths, so she knows that it's a thing. But because she'll watch on humans, which is a little creepy to think about. But she's trying to like, oh, okay, it's bath time. Well, then I'll do the bath thing, sure.
Yep. So you see, Lamia then wants to try to poison Primus because she wants the she doesn't know what that is. She doesn't want any witnesses. She doesn't want anybody around. She doesn't want any trouble. So the unicorn then comes in, stops Tristan from drinking the potion. Mm-hmm. The brother gets pretty angry, or the brother sees the stone. Lamia eventually kills the brother. And then she surrounds everything with green fire, basically. And Tristan uses the last little bit of the Babylon candle to get out, and they end up in the clouds, and they end up getting captured by Captain Shakespeare.
Yes.
Which is insane. And the Casper team. The Casper team is a combination of the director's two kid names, I think.
Okay.
I think it was, I'll look it up, but it's that. But anyway, this is a lot of scene. It's kind of spliced up into where the dialogue actually happens. And then the other big thing is the knife that she needs to do the sacrifice with breaks because she goes to stab her right when she disappears into the flames. So anyway, it ends with Captain Shakespeare's going to throw him in the brig. Here's all of that.
Relax here, my love. I'll be back just as soon as I've taken care of this customer.
At last, we require accommodation. Please help my friend take the horses to the stables. Hello? I'm accustomed to better service, but you're awake now, and that's what counts. Prepare your best room.
She got the stone.
I'll thank you not to bother my guests, sir. I am the lady of this inn. Glass of wine.
No. Until my brother is dead, I have vowed to drink only my own wine. Though my friend in the stables might be glad of a drop. Your best room, perhaps?
Of course. How nice for you. If you'll excuse me.
Wait. That stone you're wearing, it can't be.
Oh, finally.
Come here, let me see it. You have no idea what you're meddling with.
I am Ewry, the firstborn of Stormhold, and I demand that you bring it to me. Bring me the stone, now!
With promise, don't touch anything they give you. They try to put...
The burning golden heart of a star at peace is so much better than your frightened little heart. Even so, better than no heart at all.
And then, hold me tight when I think of home. What the hell did you do?
What did I do? What did you do? Think of home! That was a great plan! You thought of your home and I thought of mine, and now we're halfway between the two!
Oh, you stupid cow! What did you think of your home for?
You just said home! If you wanted me to think of your home, you should have said!
Some crazy lady was going to cut your heart out, and you wanted more specific instructions? Perhaps you'd like it in writing, or a diagram, maybe!
Look, Captain Shakespeare! Caught ourselves a little bonus! Couple of lightning marshals! They don't look like lightning marshals to me. Why else would anyone be up here in the middle of a storm? Why else would anyone be up here in the middle of a storm? Let's think. Maybe for the same God-forsaken reasons we are! Now, who are you? See if a night on our lovely brig will loosen their lips. Get them in the brig. You heard the man. Let's go. Get them into the brig.
So, walking through the scene a little bit. Is the blue blood just because? Is it just again one of those things like it's just different world, different rules?
Royalty is called blue blood, and so
I know that. Yeah. Like just trying to be literal.
Yeah,
right.
well, I think so.
I think it's also to identify that they are not human per se. They are considered fairy. Even the book, they're considered that world is fairy, so they want to be able to show that even though they look humanoid, they're not completely human.
Oh, okay, fair enough. And then I will say the music wins the scene for me.
Oh yeah.
If you cut it out, or if you play some, I don't know, alternate track on a Blu-ray and there's no music, this scene does not seem suspenseful at all. Not until she gets to where she's about to kill somebody. but man, the music just builds and it 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 builds. And I'm sorry, it kind of gets the MVP for me in this entire sequence, which is fantastic. I don't know. What do you guys think about everything in the inn? I mean, the goat was funny and it was pretty good.
Him
I don't think I've
headbutt.
got, I don't think where I've got when someone asks the woman what her name and she goes, Bernard. I don't think I have that, but, that was pretty good. Again, I don't, probably be busy.
Well, she stopped
anyway.
it. I mean, she's enforcing it.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I mean about the music. I was thinking the same thing about the composer of this is he's done a bunch of different stuff. I'm trying to remember his name and I'm not seeing it in my Google. So I know it's there. But the one of the things that I thought was interesting is the blades that they have to use to kill the star are obsidian, or they look obsidian to me, which I'm glad it shattered because those suckers are not like my grandpa made knives, and so he had obsidian from time to time that people would trade him for, and basically, like, I don't know if it was just the ones that he got, but it was basically super, super delicate and practically worthless, as far as durability goes. Like, she fences with it at one point. And it's like, no, like that's not happening. So I do like that it shatters. That at least gives it a little bit of a more realistic delicacy. I know it's magic, but it's still.
Yeah. And for that fight scene, you could say that she's imbuing them with magic to keep them from breaking.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas this, she wasn't trying to, therefore it broke.
I'll go with it. It's fine. I'm not trying to make fun of it. It just is a thing.
Does the unicorn die? Because she starts getting the green flames up everywhere, and I couldn't tell if it was around the horse or in the horse or whatever, because it was surrounding Tristan and Yvain. It wasn't meant to kill them. She wants Yvain. She needs Yvain alive, so it wasn't meant to do that. But I wondered if I think it's meant to suggest that she killed the horse pretty quickly, or the unicorn anyway.
I think she was just trying to keep the unicorn away from them, from helping them. And I mean, you could base it off your interpretation if the horse died in the green flames, or if it was able to get away and just flee. Yeah.
That makes sense. Then when Captain Shakespeare shows up, I thought the stuff in the cloud was hilarious. I was like, of course, that's where they'd be halfway through. That was pretty cool. When I joke about, they can stand on clouds now, I don't give a shit. I thought it was pretty cute.
I thought the reason for it was pretty good. Yeah.
What do you mean? I thought that it was halfway between.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. They didn't just happen to be there. That was halfway between their two homes.
It's like if Harry Potter disapparating, like if they all thought a different stuff.
If he accidentally says diagonally instead of diagonally, then he ends up somewhere different.
Why didn't he get splinched and his arm fall off?
That's true.
Just kidding.
Ilan Ishkari is the composer, by the way. So kudos to him.
I had forgotten De Niro's in the movie.
Oh, nice.
This is one of you could tell this is one of those parts where he had to be on set for 2 weeks and he was done. Like he could, he got paid.
And he clearly had the time of his life the entire time.
Yeah, yes. I know. It seems that. But anyway, I'd forgotten he was in the movie until this moment, because we're already halfway through, or even more so. And then he showed up. So, and then it was also interesting. They're up there collecting lightning, because that's a thing, because you can just have it, which is cool. Anyway, after this, Yvain and Tristan are tied up in the brig. They're talking for a while, not about anything too crazy. Then Septimus is going to be king if he finds the stone, because everybody else is gone now. So the guy turned into the goat, and the girl tells him what happened. He learns that if he eats Yvain's heart, they'll be immortal. So Septimus kind of hears that too. Is like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. And so not only can I be king, but I can be king forever. Right. So now I really want the star. Anyway, Lamia is starting to really age rapidly. Her face is starting to go Bell's palsy on her. She broke the knife, calls her sisters. And then Yvain has this interesting conversation with Tristan. I didn't get it, but about Victoria. And he still wants that to be the goal, right? Mm-hmm. Like, I know that the first instance we have of them falling in love is when she starts glowing in the bathtub just a little bit when they were talking about him. We don't know that's what it means until later.
Right.
Yeah.
But now that you know, when you watch the movie again, she at least was starting to have those feelings. He probably was. He just wasn't acknowledging them. Well, right. Like, it's obvious that they were. But.
I don't believe in... So when they're back in the inn and she is in the bathtub and she's relaxed, I don't believe it's her falling in love with Tristan, because at this point she doesn't know Tristan's back.
Yeah, last she knew, he tied her up with and the unicorn had to rescue her, right?
So, and it was because she was at peace and she was relaxed and calm and kind of happy. That was the reason why she was glowing.
Yeah,
I don't think she's developed those feelings until we get to the scene that you're talking about Victoria and being captured, and this is the beginnings of that spark, you could say.
Right, right. No, that makes sense. Then, so the witches then know everybody who's going after Yvain. The ones back home start understanding, and they're tracking her with magic GPS, but she's not on the ground; she's in the sky, and so apparently that means they can't locate her, or at least can't get to her. And so Lamia is starting to say, "Well, she's got to come down at some point. Like, she's not going to stay up there, even though I thought that was a little weird response. She's a star, dude. She probably could stay up there all she wants. But no, they're in a sky vessel is what they say. So in other words, she's going to have to come down, and that's what she's counting on. And then they start talking about there's a brother tracking her. So Lamia understands now it's a race with other people. It's not just her.
Yeah.
Well, if you're ready for Captain Shakespeare,
yes.
The next scene is he's talking to Tristan and Yvain, and then they joke it. He fakes throwing Tristan overboard. And then he starts wanting to know about England. Anyway, if you've seen the movie, this needs no more introduction. Here's De Niro.
This is the part where you tell me who you are and why you're up here. Or I'll snap her pretty little fingers one by one like dry twigs.
My name is Tristan Thorne. This is my wife.
Your wife? Far too young and radiant to belong to just one man. It's share and share alike aboard my vessel, sonny boy!
If you dare even touch me.
You may think you're showing a little spirit in front of your lady friend, but if you talk back to me again, I'll feed your tongue to the dogs, you impertinent little pup!
Sir?
Better, but still interrupting. Let's see. A hanging's always good for morale. Maybe we'll watch you dance a gallows jig! Or perhaps I'll just tip you over the side and have done with it! It's a very long way down. Plenty of time to reminisce about your pitifully short lives.
Please. Look, we're just trying to make our way home. Back to a place called Wall, where I come
What did you say?
I said we were trying to get home to Wall.
That's one lie too many, my son. Thought you could just wander around the marsh.
Yeah, he's good. Right.
On the deck, go. Big mistake, Mr. Thorne, and the last one you'll ever make. No! Keep running! Get up! Taking the girl to my cabin, and mark my words, anyone who disturbs me for the next few hours will get the same treatment.
What, you'll...
No, you idiot, I'll sling you over the side as well.
Oh, yeah. Captain's busy, so should you be.
Get in there, wench!
So, that went well, I thought. Now, tell me news. My beloved England. I want to hear absolutely everything.
Hang on. I can't believe your crew fell for that. And where in God's name did you get that mannequin from?
Oh, it works every time. An ounce of bargaining, a pinch of trickery, a soupçon of intimidation. Et voila, the perfect recipe for a towering reputation without ever having to spill one drop of blood. Ever tried to get bloodstains out of a silk shirt? Nightmare.
Right. I still don't understand how they won't recognize
Tristan,
me.
dear boy, when I'm done, your own mother won't recognize you. Now, we've no time to waste. We have only 2 hours before we make port. First and foremost, it'll be so good to see you out of those dreary clothes. So very small-town errand boy, howlingly parochial. Here, tray you. I wore it as a younger man. I hate to throw anything away. You know the day you do, it'll come back in fashion, be oh so de la mode. Now, you darling, I have some lovely dresses. Take your pick.
Oh, no, really, I'm fine.
Honey, you're wearing a bathrobe. Now, England. I want to hear everything.
You're not from England.
Oh, no, sadly, no. But from my earliest youth, I lapped up the stories. People always told me they were nothing more than folklore, but my heart told me they were true. As a boy, I'd scurry away from my father at the market while he did his deals, just to peek over the wall. Dream of perhaps crossing it one day, seeing England for myself.
Really? So you were here looking over there?
Oh, yes. Hair.
Hair?
Mm-hmm. Mind you, I did my best to fit in. Tried to make my father, Captain Ghostmaker, proud, forged a decent reputation as a ruthless marauder and cold-blooded killer. But my father died. Always promised him I'd take over the family business, keep the old girl flying. You've no idea the lightness it brings to my heart being able to confide in you charming young people. The pressure of maintaining the whole Captain Shakespeare persona for the sake of the crew. Ugh, I don't know. Sometimes, I'm very much a man of my own creation. Even chose the name specially. Took me ages. See, I'm thinking legendary British wordsmith. My enemies and crew are thinking Shakespeare. Little things like that make me happy.
I don't understand that. Surely it'll make you happier just to be yourself. Why fight to be accepted by people you don't actually want to be like?
Yeah. Why would anyone do that to himself?
Exactly.
So that's a cool thing at the end. So obviously the reason for this is that it's just a shtick. You have to understand he's a good guy. He's going to help him. And he's more opposite of his, I don't know, the public role he's putting out.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? Yeah, I don't know. Go ahead, Megan. Talk about De Niro. Talk about this entire part. Is it your favorite?
This is one of my favorite scenes because it shows, just like you said, your public persona and your private persona, and being true to yourself, but also wanting to keep up appearances for the crew. And I just absolutely adore the immediate switch that happens. And you don't expect that from Robert De Niro. And I didn't expect it when I was younger. I've always seen him in these very stern, very serious roles. And then when he did this, I was like, I fell in love with him all over again.
It's funny. Even the humor in the scene, you're going to get the same treatment. It's like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yes. And the crew being not quite the smartest crew, but his first mate, he's onto it. He knows.
Yeah. He rolls his eyes a couple times. When
yes.
Yeah. Well, actually, the whole crew kind of knows more than he thinks they know.
Ultimately, that's true.
Yeah,
We find out.
You're right.
I like how this is basically like we heard in The Princess Bride about Wesley talking about how he got captured by the Dread Pirate Roberts and how he was a persona, and nobody would be scared of the Dread Pirate Cummerbund, right, or whatever.
Yes.
So I love the idea that like his dad was Captain Ghostmaker and stuff like that. So like it absolutely has to be like a stage name one way or another of like he's got to seem ruthless. It's a heel turn, right? Like it's out of out of like wrestling and whatever else. So I love that idea of it, and it's a great character for De Niro. It would have been a bigger surprise if he hadn't already done like meet the parents and stuff like that.
Right.
But it was still like the next progression in his turn of, you know, he's not Raging Bull anymore, right?
Yeah,
right.
And the use of Shakespeare in his captain's name and his emphasizing that they think it's Shakespeare, very
I love that. Yeah.
violent name, but it not being that, it was a lovely change of pace for using that name, thinking
That's
of it
right.
instead of the wordsmith. And when he's doing Tristan's hair, the comb is any hairdresser's dream item that they would want. So if you think of D&D, the magical items you could get is this comb that can make your hair long, and then they can restyle it. Oh, I nicked somebody here. That wasn't supposed to happen. I'm going to fix it with this comb.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't even both times watching it, I couldn't place what was causing the hair thing. And I didn't realize it was just magic comb. Like I was probably looking for something too deep. So that explains it. I don't think I caught it, or at least I wasn't catching what was doing it. I don't know. I was listening to him mostly.
Yep.
So
you're not looking at his hands and what's in his hands. He's got the shears and the comb. And that was when I first saw it the first time, I remember being, oh, that's weird. Why does he have long hair? When did that happen? And then you see his transformation with the hair, and it's very lovely on him.
Yeah, that's true.
Very lovely. That's a way to say it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So anyway, they sell lightning. They catch it with a bunch of, looks like Chris Nolan from The Prestige got a hold of the front of the boat and loaded it with a bunch of stuff. And then the buyer, is this where they find Ricky Gervais?
Yes.
So all of his stuff was ad-libbed, I heard, or at least a lot of it.
Well, they had to, Vaughn had to like rein them in because he was ad-libbing too much.
Mm-hmm.
And well, why wouldn't you? Why do you hire him?
Yeah, exactly. But they were like negotiating. They were negotiating up to 200 and or 195 and then 200. And he was going way down, you know, rabbit holes, and they were great, but not really usable for the amount of time that they had to devote to the scene, right? So.
Yes. Yeah, that was the issue with well, not really an issue, is I feel bad for the director in that part of, all right, we got to kind of rein him. It's like going off on tangents, and all right, we still got to go down this path.
Like I would probably be willing to pay for all of these people to sit here for an extra day just enjoying this, but the people that actually hold the purse strings would not want me to do it. So.
And I remember he kept making Robert De Niro laugh so much because he would pull back with these other quips that nobody was expecting, and people went wild.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I do. Yeah. I liked him a lot. He did say the line, "Are you having a laugh?" That's from his show Extras.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a catchphrase they say in the show all the time.
You're right.
Yeah, I did catch that. And then I could tell you got a two-headed dog and guard both doors. I was like, he's ad-libbing this. Like you could totally tell this sounds exactly like him, which is perfect. It's what they should get him to do and what he should do. And it's what he's there for. So it makes sense. So Tristan gets introduced as the nephew of Shakespeare, right, for the ride home.
Mm-hmm.
They start learning to be part of the crew. It's pretty cool. Then eventually he tells her that he knows who she is and knows that people are going to want to hurt her.
Knows what she is.
She is, right? And he warns her, like, you're glowing because you're falling in love and you're going to give yourself away. But, you know, I don't know what you do to stop that. Start thinking about baseball or
right.
go on the shower or something. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you're supposed to do. But anyway, then Lamia then gets to the lightning buyer Ferdy and finds out where they went, what was going on. The captain then they get to where they're going, or they get down to earth, and Tristan and Yvain go off to find Wall, and he whispers something to Tristan. We don't know what it is. It comes out here very soon. And he said they should use the lightning he gives Tristan a bunch of lightning to use to barter with or use whatever. And he's like, we should get a Babylon candle with this. But it seems that those candles are really rare. It at least the world set that up. Is that correct?
Well,
Like,
yeah,
they're hard to
not
find,
even the
hard to get?
witches, not even the witches had it, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, they're very hard to make, and hence why they're so rare, because they're such great magic. And which is good for the story and also makes sense in that world too.
Mm-hmm.
And I do like the fact they showed you how they caught the lightning. It wasn't it was very reasonable how they caught it by sending out the
nets,
the nets, and then hoarding it in through the wire and sticking it in almost like a battery.
Yeah,
So
I thought that was that whole montage was pretty darn epic, and one of those things that I'm really glad that they left in. It wasn't necessarily central to the story, but boy, did it add atmosphere, and I say that knowingly. But it was great.
Yeah. Then the brother ends up also finding what did you call his name? Ferdy?
Ferdy,
yeah. Kills him.
Well, yeah, because he's because the witch took his voice, made him cluck like a chicken because he wouldn't shut up.
Yep. Which that sounds like a thing that somebody would do to Ricky Gervais.
Exactly.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
So you won't tell. Yeah, that's right. He wouldn't tell him anything. So Tristan hides from a carriage that's coming with Yvain. The carriage kind of goes by. Septimus then finds the captain and the men, and this is where, and there's really nothing to play, but he finds him in his closet having a good time. Is this that moment? I think so. Because the men then fight. They have Septimus's men and Shakespeare's men have a fight up on the deck,
and it's playing to the can. So
yes.
the swords are actually in tune. It was like an Edgar Wright movie. I mean, it was they were in beat with the music, which was great.
Yes.
Gotcha. What did you guys think of this? What did you guys think of this sequence with finding him and doing what he's doing in the closet, and then the men, the fighting, and the music, and all that? What did you guys think of this whole thing?
I loved it because before he even gets to the ship, Septimus reiterates that Captain Shakespeare is a fierce reputation. He is one to be just let me handle him because he's so scary. You handle the crew, and then when they come on board, and it takes him a minute to find him because the captain's quarters is pretty big. And when he does find him, and he's got the dress in front of him, and he has the heart over his beauty mark, and I don't know, it's so hard to describe just what do captains do when they're not being captains? What do they do in their free time?
Anything they want, apparently.
Anything they want. Mm-hmm.
Well, this scene was, they've set up it serves two purposes. Story-wise, it serves two purposes. One, the jig has to be up on the captain at some point.
Right.
At or whatever.
For his character to progress, which is a nice little arc for him, you know.
You're right.
Right.
Yeah.
And then, go ahead.
No, it clicked. Yeah, you're right. Because then the jig is up. Now the crew sees it full form where he never showed them before. And that was a nice full circle between him and his crew.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then it also has to, I was surprised the pirates won. I actually kind of anticipated Septimus' men coming in, just wiping everybody out and winning and actually killing their friend. But that didn't happen. The pirates actually chase them all off the ship. And the other thing that makes this work, the other reason is, because I don't know if it works. If it's not someone like Robert De Niro or Clint Eastwood or like something that would really be fish out of water with what we're watching, right? Then it's kind of just an on the nose. Yes, we already know he's not like the captain. You don't have to lay it on super thick, but the reason to do it is Robert De Niro's in your movie, and it's hilarious. And let him go and let him do his thing, and that's why you do this, right? And anyway, it made a ton of sense. It cracked me up. I was laughing watching it. It was something. It was something. Tristan and Yvain start they're on the way, and they're walking toward the they're walking toward Wall, and they realize they've only got one day left because Victoria's birthday is like the next day. So they're, at least for Tristan's little quest here, he's running out of time.
Yeah.
But
But
then, yeah, go ahead.
and not to back up too far, but when he hides her in the bushes and like, he's on top of her as they're waiting for the folks on the road to pass by, she's glowing. And, and then he starts talking more about Victoria again or about like, because she's like, are you tempted?
Oh, that's right.
Are you tempted at all that, to eat my heart to live eternally? And he's like, well, no, it wouldn't. It'd be very lonely. And, I'd need somebody to live with, sort of thing. And he just kind of, it's a swing and a miss for her. You can tell the glow is gone. And, and then they move on as far as, like she knows more than he does at this point that the time is coming to an end one way or another.
Right.
No, that makes sense. And then the next scene is we find out Captain Shakespeare's crew. I guess it's up to interpretation how much they knew, but I think they knew it was an act. Mm-hmm. Maybe they didn't know what was in the closet, but they knew something was up the whole time, and they never really cared. They were following him. In other words, the character arc for him is you never needed to put the act on in the first place, and they'd have followed you.
Mm-hmm. At least not with them, your family, right? So.
Right.
Yeah. Anyway, no, very, very cool. I that part was the payoff to the previous scene.
Yeah.
In my book, it was funny. This gave weight to it, and as Donald, you said, there's a character arc here for him. Mm-hmm. Well, that comes into focus here. Yeah. It comes into focus when the team's like, we know. Like the first officer kept trying to.
Yeah,
he almost was like trying to protect the persona.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, go ahead.
He was, and then I do like the fact that they say that they know, and he doesn't have to hide both sides now. He can kind of meld them into one because he gives them the old "arr," and
right,
their normal grunt.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Gar, Steve.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry.
That's
right. Anyway, then Tristan and Yvain accidentally find his mom and Ditchwater Sal, and he wants to trade the flower for the Babylon candle. But then ends up turning him into a mouse squirrel thing. Like they said mouse, but I don't know. Was that a type of mouse?
Yeah, it's a dormouse.
Okay.
Dormouse.
They turned him into that. And Yvain can't really interact with him, and can't interact with her because of the witch's spell. So she doesn't even know Yvain's like hanging around or even within, earshot of anything, which is hilarious.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yvain starts starts talking about watching Earth from being a star, and confesses to Tristan that she loves him. But
because she thinks he can't understand her
because he doesn't really look at her. She's like, well, look at me or blink or shut your, what did she say?
He's more interested in the cheese, right?
Yeah. So, right. That's right. Anyway. And then, now did he say, he admits later he heard her.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say whether or not he really was still interested more in the cheese or whatever. Like, I guess it was an act. So
it was an act because he knew he knew she wouldn't. He didn't want to let on one way or another.
Yeah,
that makes sense. Anyway, so she confesses all of this, and then the witch changes him back, but says, "Well, good luck because you're out of it for a little while when we do this." Which that I wasn't sure if they broke a rule. Because we had already watched Una be changed back and forth, and she did not seem out of it. Like, she was a blue jay, and then, nope, you're not a blue jay, now go help, okay, now go away. She wasn't out of it when that stuff happened.
I think she just had more practice.
The goats were transformed and up and down. They weren't out of it whenever they came back and forth. And it's fine. I don't care. I'm not digging on it. I did find that a little confusing. But again, it's one of those things, magic people.
He is a human and not, he's half human.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah, him being half human could have that effect. And also, it's the difference in power between Lamia might be able to negate the negative effects on the person she's casting the spell to, like with the goat, on the boy she turns into a goat and then into the woman.
Yeah. It doesn't have to make 100% sense.
No, it doesn't. And you could say
it's fun to try to talk about. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you could say too that the his mother Una has been transformed so often now she's used to it.
Yeah, right. It's probably No, I'm sure there's a lot of that in there. I have no doubt. I just thought it was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. Anyway. Yeah. So they go to find basically a place to rest, like an inn to chill for a minute. Tristan wakes up feeling better and reminds her of what she said. So we don't have a lot of suspense very long in movie time. He heard it all. And then he says what the captain whispered. So what is it again that the captain whispered to him?
Like true love is right in front of you, or
okay, is that what it was?
His true love, Tristan, your true love has been in front of you the whole time.
There you go.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. Because I forgot to write it in the notes what it was because I know we found that out. So then we figure out that the movie then explains that, and then anyway, it's implied that. It's funny. It's implied that Tristan and Yvain do it here. There is a moment where they wake up or they're in the same bed. They digitally put a shirt on him. He didn't have a shirt. He was shirtless for the scene with them in bed. And they thought, it's a little too suggestive, a little too on the nose.
They had the ghost like telling his brothers like, hey, you got to go see these people doing it.
Yeah, I know. Right. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't sure why. Who cares then?
Yeah.
Because like if that's the case and they did it, like who cares if he doesn't have a shirt on? But
don't know.
Whatever. They tried to make a more family movie. Fine with me.
I didn't notice that. That's interesting.
Yeah. I didn't know till I was looking in the trivia area that they painted a shirt on him digitally after the fact. So I don't know. Whatever it is. But then the movie discovers, or at least tells us and explains, that if Yvain leaves the magical area 4 walls, she'll turn into nothing or stardust or whatever. Mm-hmm. She'll poof away. So now there's that. Then Tristan takes some of her hair in the night to kind of, he's going to use it to show up Victoria, which is like, now that he had a whole plan. Cause I was like, why is he going to see Victoria? If he's done with her, just like ignore her. Fine. Go to Ipswich and be happy, whatever the fuck you want. Mm-hmm. But no, he's going to rub her nose in it. So he's going to take back some hair. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know Victoria's real shallow and kind of a bitch. And
this is pretty cool.
Obviously a dick. This is pretty fucking.
Here's a lock of my new girl's hair, right?
This is, the digital version would be like, hey babe, what are you doing? And then selfie you and some other chick in bed. Like this is the 1800s version of of this, or sending a text message or something, or a dick pic to somebody, I guess. Anyway, he cuts her hair, puts it, and he's gonna show Victoria. Anyway, he leaves and gives the innkeeper a message saying basically explains like where I'm going, what I'm doing.
Yep.
Which is really funny with what happens in a minute. He says basically tell her, like I love her and all this stuff, and I'm gonna go tell Victoria because I'm done with her, right? I'll be back. That's basically the gist of the conversation, correct?
Right. And I think too with Tristan, the other reason potentially him going back to me is he's fulfilling, he's being true to his word. He is going to bring her back.
Yeah.
Part of the star, but that's it. He's fulfilled his obligation. He's done. He doesn't have to do anything else. So it's a type of closure for him potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just thought it was kind of it's either really passive aggressive douchebaggy or kind of pimp for what he's going to.
I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, it's a bit of both.
There's definitely that swagger involved.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man! So Tristan gets to the hole in the wall, which sounds bad when I say it like that. Yvain wakes up glowing. Like literally, and then the innkeeper plays the game of telephone, and the message is lost in interpretation. Yeah, yep. By changing simply like 2 words, like it wasn't much, or putting the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yeah, like the references the pronoun. Okay, well, yeah, he's talking to her and not him. Or like it's.
Yep.
He totally just messes it up.
Yep. Well, anyway, Tristan gets to Victoria's house, but Yvain is now trying to get to him, so she's on the way. And we now know because of what was set up, if she actually achieves her goal and gets there, she's going to die. Mm-hmm. So, but Tristan's mom, Una, sees her. And then Una kind of locks the witch inside their carriage or whatever. when Victoria comes out of the house. And that's where we'll pick up this next scene. Tristan's talking to Victoria, tells her to go fuck off, basically. The hair's turned into Stardust. Then Tristan's mother comes to help, and she tries to stop Yvain from walking through the wall. All the characters are starting to converge here, and the movie's really taken off. Anyway, and then the witches fight, which didn't last long, but like I said, there's levels to this. So we see what that looks like when they both go crazy. And then it ends with Yvain and Una being kidnapped. Here's all of that.
Happy birthday.
Tristan. What happened to you?
I found the star.
I can't believe you did it. Where's my star? Can I see it? Is it beautiful?
Yes.
Well, it's awfully small.
Well, that's just a little piece. A token for your birthday.
Well, then forget about the star. It's not the star that I want. You know what I want.
Yes, I do. You want to grow up? Get over yourself. Humphrey!
Thorn. You just had a death wish.
Humphrey. Humphrey, it's all right. She's all yours. You really are a perfect couple. The best of luck to you both.
Well, why would I want this? It's just a measly handful of stardust.
She can't cross the wall.
Stop! Stop! If you go through there, you'll die. What? If you set foot on human soil, you'll turn to rock.
Wretched slattern! Where have you taken me?
Planning to enter war, were you? If death is what you wish, my dear, I'd be more than happy to assist you.
Are you talking to me?
Ah, you. Small world. Anyhow, no, I wasn't. I was talking to the star.
What star? My slave girl's no star. Any fool can see that. If she was, I'd have had the art out of her chest a long time ago. Trust me.
Trust you, not a mistake I'd be likely to make again. What's it to be, Ditchwater Sal? Heads or tails? Time to go.
She's not going anywhere.
I think you'll find she is. It's all right. You can come too. You can ride in the carriage or be dragged behind it. Your choice.
So the Tristan thing, it's a little, I will say this, it is a little out of character for him. That's pretty, I'm going to travel all the way back to your house. I'm going to get you all the way to the moment where you're actually telling me I can score. And then I'm going to literally drop you on the ground and tell you to get over yourself. It's awesome and cool. And she fucking deserved it. And I get it. And that's cool. I mean, I don't know. Part of me is like, did she really do anything that bad? I mean, she was materialistic, but I never saw her be mean to him. I saw her be herself, which is materialistic, but she didn't. I don't know, man. I was like, oh, and I laughed my ass off.
I mean,
yeah, she got him
well,
fired.
I guess. Well, he chose to.
No,
like,
but
look.
she was using him like actively.
Yeah.
Like maybe she wasn't intending him to lose his job, but she didn't care.
I guess it's true.
And we don't
and
know.
she did keep calling him shop boy.
Yeah, and we don't know their full history too. We haven't seen that backstory, so I feel like he's finally grown into himself. He has that self-confidence, and he can. Now he's just done. He's over it. Mm-hmm.
No, and I think it's great, and I think it's hilarious, and I was laughing my head off. Really, I was crying. It's so good. Because that's the kind of smart ass thing I would do, and Donald will tell you, yeah, that's what I would do. Anyway, and then I knew once they said you can't cross over, I figured the hair, I knew that was going to be a thing.
Yeah.
They obviously made that very, very clear. And then, nobody wants her to go through the wall now because even the people who hate her and want her dead, they need her alive to eat her heart, which sounds so lovely. Anyway, I don't know what else. The magic fight was pretty interesting. That didn't take much.
Mm-hmm.
Like that Ditchwater Sal was giving her everything she probably had, and it's like, no, you're just you're gonna lose your head, which is hilarious. But
love the veiled threat of you can either ride in the cart or be dragged behind it. So either way, you're still coming with me.
Yeah, right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's funny. That's so true. Did Septimus arrive yet, or is he right on the heels? I think he's right on the heels of this, or no? Yeah, he's right after this, right?
I think it is Tristan first and then Septimus. So it was Tristan. He found everything, left, and then Septimus was right behind him.
Yeah,
because
Tristan is able to take the horse that was Ditchwater Sal's. He unchains the horse, untethers the horse, and rides it, and follows the carriage tracks. So I think that's what was going on. I think the guard knew that they went that way, sort of thing. We didn't see that happen, but I think that between the two,
the guard finally giving up and saying, "Nope, I'm done. This is too much for me now. I'm over it. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go retire."
Right. All right. So at this point, Tristan takes the flower again because now he knows what it does, right? Because we find out it protects you. So his mom back in the day was trying to give the Dunstan like protection, magical protection, so nothing can happen. So anyway, he does take that, and Lamia starts to try to race home with the carriage with them in it. And then Septimus is giving chase. The witches prepare the ritual, and then Tristan and Septimus both arrive at the same time, which is interesting. And they actually kind of work to make a plan to break in. And then Una is seen, and now you put it together that she's the lost sister. I had that figured out, I think.
Right.
It made sense. They're talking. It's like, not to be mean. Gee, I wonder who Luke's sister could be. The only woman in the galaxy we've seen. It was one of those moments like, gee, I wonder who the lost sisters. Oh, maybe the only one we've seen that was mysteriously disappeared.
Maybe that could, make our hero the heir to all of Stormhold.
So, right. So anyway, she tells Tristan she's his mom, and then Septimus starts to fight the witches, and Septimus actually gets one killed, impales her, and then Lamia starts using the voodoo doll, and I got to say that entire sequence was pretty intense. Even the drowning part was pretty wow, that's dark as hell.
Well, yeah, because normally you would see a voodoo doll, and it's like in Temple of Doom, right? Like it's like the kid sticks the needle in and digs it in, and Indiana Jones is just like, ow, that hurts. And this is like, I'm breaking your arm, I'm breaking your femur. That was way more intense, I think.
I thought that's where they were going with it. I thought as soon as she started to move his arm, I thought he's not going to go ow. Like he's going to lose his arm.
Yeah.
He's going to start pulling stuff off here or something, because it's the magic has been pretty intense. Anyway, the drowning was, the effect of having a man drown with no water was pretty cool. It was, the effects were fantastic. I thought they were great. Anyway, so Tristan gets up, sends his mom outside to be safe, shuts her out. And then he lets all the animals out that they've imprisoned that obviously are a bit more sentient and know why they're there, because they all attack her.
Well, they know who not to trust, right?
Yeah.
I guess so, right?
They attack the other sister.
Yeah. And not the one that's younger and more powerful.
But she was clearly the animal keeper. Like she was the one who was always wielding the knife for.
Oh, I don't think I caught that.
Yeah.
Yep.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
It makes sense. So anyway, the Tristan then faces down Lamia, but her spell doesn't touch him because of the flower, and he shows it to her like an idiot. Like, just leave it a secret, dude. Like, don't be Clint Eastwood. Don't pull the metal plate out from underneath your poncho just yet. Like, just keep her guessing. Then he uses the lightning, which is very, very freaking cool.
I like that. Yeah,
it was cool. I liked how he could open the little end and like shoot some out. That was pretty cool.
And it did show that even though he could use the lightning, it still had an effect on him. Like, he wasn't strong enough to control it, but he could kind of direct it.
Right. Yeah. It was like, sorry. I don't know what you thought about. I thought about the bag of wind from the SpongeBob movie. I have no idea why. Anyway, just sorry. I'm an idiot. I'm a child. But it's great. And then I will say the voodoo doll getting Septimus up, it's pretty dark, but really cool. And then I started laughing as he starts trying to do the cliched thing of dropping chandeliers on people. He just misses. He doesn't know where they're going. He doesn't know what ropes go where. And I'm like, that's more real. That's what would really fucking happen if you really tried that shit. And but eventually he does get one dropped on her.
The last one is perfect because it falls on Septimus, or what's left of him, and he hangs onto it so that he flies up and he lands on Lamia, right, to knock her down.
Yeah,
that's right.
And so that's when they can start dueling.
The Force. That's what I say. I say it's the Force, right?
And to talk about the fight scene with Septimus's body too. I mean, how jarring would that be that you're having a full-on sword fight scene with a corpse and everything that you are doing to it, like Septimus in his ghost form is reacting to it like, ooh, oh no.
Yeah, that's right.
I love the fact they kept cutting back and forth between it, and even he's confused and the brothers are confused and they're all looking at him like he's doing this. And he's like, I don't know.
That's very cool, and that's one of those. It's like it's not as she didn't raise a zombie. She is merely manipulate. She raised something. She made a remote control is all it is, and she's and the way that she's manipulating the body doesn't care about whether he can see the enemy or has proper balance or technique or anything. It's just slash. It was very cool.
And for the most part, that was all done practically with Mark Strong basically being on wire and his eyes are closed and he's just kind of letting the motions go through, and it has very impressive.
Oh, wow. They really did that? That's hilarious.
Yeah.
That's actually cool. I guess that it would be the only way they could pull that off is no, just let us fuck with you.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So if you guys are ready, the last scene we've got here is it starts with Lamia like the fight with her and Tristan is now in full swing. But there's this moment, and I want to talk about a lot of this. But she frees Yvain, but then locks them all in. Then Yvain saves everybody by shining like a star does. And then he picks up the jewel. It turns red. He's the heir. The ghosts are released. He's crowned, and we get the ending narration. There's not a lot of dialogue in this sequence, especially when he's just crowned king. I kind of just left, it's like one line. I left that out, but it kind of goes all the way through all of this stuff, all chopped up. If you're ready, and we can kind of talk about this as we go. So anyway, here it is. Here's the end of Stardust.
Beauty. It all seems meaningless now. My sisters are dead. Everything I cared about, gone. Go!
I owe you thanks, boy. What use was her heart to me when it was broken? And you got rid of my sisters. Now I can have it all for myself.
Hold me tight and close your eyes.
What? Why?
What do stars do? Shine.
you do that earlier?
I couldn't have done that without you. No star can shine with a broken heart. I thought I'd lost you. But you came back.
Of course I did. I love you.
Tristan.
The last surviving male heir of the Stormhold bloodline. It's you, Tristan.
But if he's the new king of Stormhold, then...
They ruled for 80 years. But no man can live forever, except he who possesses the heart of a star. And Yvain had given hers to Tristan completely. When their children and grandchildren were grown, it was time to light the Babylon candle. And they still live, happily ever after.
All right, so I wanted to know, what do you guys think? Because I think this is open to interpretation. Lamia kind of changes up what's going on. She quits fighting, frees Yvain, and goes, never mind, this isn't worth it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then on a dime, goes, no, fuck off. Now I can live. Was it all sincere? She really was going through this thing in her head. It's not worth it for, wait, no, maybe it is worth it. Did she really do that? Was this some kind of a ruse? I didn't understand, because if she never lets Yvain off that table by cutting the strap, she's going to win. Eventually she's going to win. So why did she do that? And I didn't understand that piece, or at least it could be just, Scott, you're digging and there's nothing else to dig. She went through both things in her head.
No.
For 1 minute, she thought, yeah, you know what? My sisters are dead. All this is dead. Fuck it. I don't care anymore. No, wait a minute. I do. Once she kind of looked around and saw everything. How did you interpret all of that?
So,
I don't think there's a wrong answer or a right one.
No, there really isn't in this case, because I believe part of it is true sincerity. She was upset that her sisters were gone, but earlier, when Yvain first saw Tristan again and saw that he was here for her, she started to shine, and they noticed that.
They noticed it.
And they noticed the shine, and because Lamia saw the shine, they're like, oh, this is what'll cause her to shine. So she put on the act of being the act of letting them go. I think she was upset that her sisters were dead, but then she realizes, now I have all this power for myself and I can live forever without them. She lets her go to give the false sense of hope that being together with Tristan would cause her heart to shine more. And a star in love causes the greatest amount of magic to be stored.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah. So no, and I don't even think she was that upset, frankly. I think it was premeditated. Not that she wanted her sisters to die, but I don't think she cared one bit. She's like, oh, well, it's all mine. Let me go for broke then. I really can't have it all at this point. So, there's no way I can lose, right? is what she's thinking.
In a circumstance of opportunity?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd buy all that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah. I understand it better now. That's cool. I got that. Yeah. And the scene you heard, when they're sitting on the thrones getting ready to be crowned, there's no dialogue. It goes for a little while.
Captain Shakespeare's there. He winks at Humphrey, and
I did see something that I'm pretty proud of myself for seeing. And maybe you both have seen this 100 times, but when the ghosts disappear, when he goes, wait, if he's then that means, and they all disappear.
Yeah.
They all turn into dots and go up in heaven. One does not. One turns into a red dot and it goes into the fire.
Well,
and I think that's Septimus, because he's the most evil of all of them. So I caught it even the first time around. All the dots kind of go, but one kind of veers down. And if you don't look for it, you don't catch it. And then on the second viewing again, I watched again. I was like, yeah, son of a bitch, I think that is. And they don't tell you who, but I assume that's what I saw.
You might be able. Yeah, I do remember seeing it. I don't remember which one it was, but I'm sure if I watched it again, you could see which one would go. And I think you're right. It's Septimus, because he is the most vile of them all. He's willing to do anything to get his goals.
And if the others were killed by him, they didn't do anything to deserve being where they were, and they would have gone up too. So,
well, Secundus killed at least one of his brothers. You see that at the beginning.
But I think Septimus killed the most people overall, like beyond his brothers too, to get, because I think he killed the bishop.
Right. Yeah, that was accidental, but he didn't care that much.
Yeah, he didn't care.
He killed the soothsayer.
Yep. Oh, and he killed he killed a bunch of people.
He killed Ferdy. Yeah.
Ferdy, yes, he killed Ferdy.
Poor Ferdy.
He killed poor Ferdy.
Yeah, no, I think all of that makes sense. I just caught that, and I think I'm pretty sure I did. But anyway, yeah, watch it again or watch that end. There is one of the spirits goes into the fire, and I think we're all right. I think we're circling around it. I think it's all him. I think that makes sense. Excuse me. So you know what so the very end of them becoming stars, I immediately just thought about Star Trek the Motion Picture, about V'ger, like, I'm just going to become the thing. It's a little weird that he's like, yeah, I'll just live in the sky and do nothing for the rest of my existence or something. It's all good. It's fine. It's a love story. I don't care.
He gets
I don't know why.
Yeah. He gets to he becomes a star with her.
Yeah. But then it's like, oh, now what do we do? Now we sit here.
Well,
no, just fucking around.
As retirement plans go, it's not a bad one.
I mean, I guess if you don't want to do anything anymore.
And I think they changed the tradition, the culture too, of killing siblings to reach the throne. I think that kind of went away.
Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, well, he said when our children and grandchildren were grown, they automatically had to kill that tradition, or there wouldn't be grown grandchildren if they'd started to offend everybody. Right. So
yep, you're right.
Yeah. It totally makes sense. So no, I like the ending. I'm fucking with you, but the nerd in me immediately went V'ger, and I was just fucking around, and it's just where my head connects dots that aren't there. I just thought it was funny that's what it was.
What's the other thing where they go up in their stars? It's the Clash of the Titans. They're in the constellations. So
oh yeah, they become constellations.
Andromeda and Perseus, and yeah.
Yep, you're right.
Wait, I thought Zeus did they actually go up there? Did Zeus just like, I'm going to make constellations to honor this, or?
I thought they did. I think
one way or another.
Yeah.
I'll buy it. I'm good. I'm good. It is funny that also thought Mark Strong was also in Sunshine, and that movie's all about a star.
He was in two movies named Sunshine.
Was he?
Yeah.
That's funny. I don't think I knew that.
Totally different kinds of movies, but he was in both of them.
Gotcha.
That's fun.
Well,
I like how many characters, or how many actors rather. I mean, obviously there were a bunch of older actors who are just great in their own right, and a bunch of younger actors that would become great. And then there's a fair amount that have been in a bunch of different, like there's a bunch who were in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels and Layer Cake. And there's some folks that Matthew Vaughn likes to recycle because, out of loyalty, and, which is awesome. And so, and so I think he also reused like his director of photography from Layer Cake, and the composer's done a bunch of stuff. The editor has done a bunch of Matthew Vaughn stuff. So he carried them forth in, throughout his, whatever cinema movie pantheon or whatever.
Right.
So, right.
There's another, I completely forgot to mention this earlier in the discussion, but that dagger that Michelle Pfeiffer has, the like nasty one, he made for Magneto in First Class, and they never put it in the movie, but he liked it so much he kept it. And then when he did Stardust, he threw it in.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh,
I had no idea why Magneto would have needed a bizarre, weird dagger to kill somebody, do something in first
maybe
class.
somebody needed it against him because it's not.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, in first class, there's all that stuff of him in the Holocaust and in the concentration camp stuff. Maybe it was there. I don't know. But anyways, it was some unused prop that he's like, this looks cool. Let's do this. Anyway, I just thought that was interesting. Well, anyway, we're at the end of the movie. So being the guy that never saw this thing, I knew it was going to be good. You guys don't. There was just too many people saying too many good things to it not be good. I fully expected it to be fantastic, and it was. It's absolutely fantastic. And I didn't put it in the top 5 of spell or quest movies or anything. I can start putting them in Magic top 5s for sure. But I didn't because only because usually if I haven't seen the movie before and I think of my top 5, I don't put it in.
Mm-hmm.
But if I have seen it before and we're doing something I've already seen, I'll generally kind of let it in.
I erred on the side of leaving it out since I had plenty of other movies to include. So I basically gave it an emeritus status since it's the one that inspired the 5x5. So.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. But I will say, I loved it to death. I totally understand why people enjoy this, and Megan, why you chose it. I get the hype. I totally understand it. I get it. Every character was beautifully written and really well executed. Matthew Vaughn is a director that, while he continues to get, like we just did The Kingsman. I think that was that was the last movie, Donald Matthew Vaughn, that you and I did.
Yeah.
He is underrated a little bit criminally. And I'm really not sure why. I don't understand why when people talk about good, young, he's about our age, and we're not.
We're not.
But for him to do the Kick-Ass and the Kingsman movies, he did Days of Future Past, which I think, and he wrote it. He didn't direct it, but he wrote it. That is one of the best superhero movies. The thing's fucking fantastic. And then for him to do Stardust, and I know this was, he did Layer Cake as well. I mean, I understand these things. And First Class, or the X-Men, maybe I've got that thing backwards. Maybe the knife was meant for Stardust, because maybe I've got that wrong. Stardust happened before First Class.
I saw a thing that he had was doing an interview as the behind the scenes for Stardust, and he mentioned having done X-Men. So I don't know if there was a delay or a back and forth of the production.
He used it for X-Men Last Stand in 2006. So a year before Stardust, he was meddling around in that movie or hovering around it somewhere.
Or what? Was he involved?
Let me look. That's a good question.
Because I know that was not a Bryan Singer.
It was the other one.
Let me see here.
The other one.
I don't see it. I see that he did. Yeah, I don't see his involvement. It doesn't mean he didn't. Let's see. Oh, okay. So he directed and co-wrote the first one. He had to be involved in the production somewhere. It doesn't say that he's got director, writer, producer credit on it. But
yeah, he's not showing up. But yeah, no, I mean, he mentioned X-Men, and it was 4 years after. First Class was 4 years after Stardust. Yep. So either he was in pre-production for a long time, which I suppose is possible. But
the trivia thing says First Class. So, or I'm sorry, Last Stand. So 2006.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So so he dropped out. I found an article that said he dropped out 2 weeks before shooting was set to begin, and that dagger was meant to be in there, used by Magneto. To some capacity. So
he was
Brett Ratner. Yeah, Brett Ratner replaced him. So
okay, that explains
it
then. All right. Thank you for finding that, because I was I was dying. I'm like, okay, I know he's not a liar, but like was the behind the scenes thing shot after and he just was wrong, or I just couldn't. Yeah, that's awesome. I think he's the one to continue to watch. I mean, I mean, he's going to be doing, whether he's producing or writing or directing or all three. At this point, I don't know, like there's nothing that I wouldn't give a chance at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, the other thing that's not fair is he married Claudia Schiffer, and you shouldn't be able to direct these movies and do that in one lifetime. You're just cheating. So
maybe she. I mean, I think she's a star, so he must be Tristan. I guess this is a biographical thing.
No idea. I just get angry at stuff like you can't win at life twice. Like that's just not fair to the rest of us. I don't know. I'm an idiot. No, anyway, my final thought, I loved it to death. And I totally, Megan, understand why you loved the movie and Donald, why you've talked so highly about it. A lot of our listeners did. Our listeners, our social media response when we kind of announced that this was going to be the next movie was all like, oh my God, finally an underrated movie. This is very, very cool. So no, it absolutely deserves all the stuff and all the accolades and everything. I had a great time. So yeah, I don't know. Donald, Megan, what do you got?
What I think, and Megan, I'll give you the last word. What I think is interesting is it's become, I don't know if it qualifies as quote unquote cult following, but it definitely has a kind of a widespread appreciation of the folks that have heard of it, that have seen it, like it a lot. And I just wonder if it's just inaccessible for folks, or if people dismiss it because, it's a fairy tale movie and I haven't heard of it really that much, so why would I watch it? Or is it an American British kind of thing where it's like, well, I don't know anybody in that. They all look like they're British people, and Claire Danes is Claire Danes, but that's not enough to draw me in. What do you? I mean, do either of you have a thought? And then I'll pass to Megan at the end.
Go for it, Megan.
I don't know what the lack of a draw to this type of film is, because we all, at least amongst all of us, love Princess Bride, and Princess Bride has become such a cult, not cult, but it's a beloved movie that everybody loves. I mean, during the pandemic, the many actors and actresses put on a home film production where they spliced together scenes from the whole movie of people playing different parts. And
that was amazing. Yeah.
But it took how many years for it to get to that point?
Mm-hmm.
And I think Stardust one day will become similar to that. And we're going to have another film that is like a spiritual cousin to Princess Bride. They're going to eventually be just right neck and neck with each other. Right. I don't know what that is.
I think we talk about the forgotten summer movie. This was a summer movie in 2007, and let's just roll up and again, it was up against Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. It was up against Ratatouille. It was up against Knocked Up, Superbad, The Simpsons movie. And then it came in. Now it was profitable. It was like $70 million budget. It made about 130. It didn't bomb. It got great test audience reviews. It got great reviews. I heard about it back then. I've never heard anybody say any bad things about this movie.
Right.
I think summer is just, you better know you got a hit on your hands. You just better know, because you can get lost. If you've got a movie that's, it's pretty good, but it's not Harry Potter and the next chapter in the story or something, you just better be not needing all that box office, I guess, is what I would say.
Yeah, and it was an August release too, so it was that. Those are the summer. Those are the dog days that, like, okay, well, that's where movies go to die. Yeah,
we've already been there. May releases, June releases, July releases, and August through October is kind of no man's land in movie release time. So
right,
maybe that's it.
I think as well that if at the time in 2007. Neil Gaiman and The Sandman, that's mostly what people knew him by. They didn't know him by all these other things they had done, except for those of us in, nerd culture who love his writing, love everything about him. Now, if they were to make Stardust today, I believe it would get so much more love than it has, because there's a surgence of his work that's being adapted very well. Good Omens, Sandman is coming. They did Sandman as an audiobook production with tons of famous actors, and is beautiful. So
did American Gods, right?
American Gods. Yeah. There's so many things that he has done that they're adapting or have adapted in the last 10 years.
He co-wrote the the one with the angel and the demon.
Good Omens.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He co-wrote that. So with Terry Pratchett. So yeah, he's kind of the man at this point. Yeah. I hope, I don't know what I would rather hope for. What I want this movie to get its due, but I also want the story to do it as well. So I don't necessarily mind if they redid it as a series, because I think at this point it would be obvious, like an obvious shoe-in for, you know, a Netflix series like The Witcher. But what do you think about that?
I think for this particular story, to keep with the traditional fantasy timeline, it should be a mini-series.
Yeah.
And let it be a 6 to 8 hour long episode. You could get all the extra stuff and be able to do it within a decent budget, and it would work great.
You could get a couple generations in there, maybe even. So
yeah, you can expand upon it.
Longer backstories and longer, you know, fleshing out the end or something.
I agree. Yeah, but as we all know, if we want too much of a good thing, it can sometimes turn sour. So
yeah.
I wouldn't want that to happen to this. I am very happy with what we got, and this movie will always be in my repertoire, and I will always recommend it to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't agree more. Go ahead.
No, I love that we're in agreement on that. So that's cool.
No, I agree. If you're going to do this again, it's definitely got to be a show.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Megan, thank you so much for doing this. Thanks for supporting us. Thanks for bringing us the movie. And just most of all, I mean, I can't, I don't know, just the thought of imagining somebody a half a world away, listening to me talk stupid shit about stuff that honestly doesn't matter. You know, at the end of the day, does it matter? Yeah, it doesn't really, not really, you know, just trying to, I don't know. It's the thought of that will always get me pretty emotional. So I can't thank you enough for sharing that with us.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know what else to say.
Yeah. Your enthusiasm and the staying power of sticking with us for this long is awesome as well. So, we're pretty indebted to you. So thank you very much for everything, and also to come on the show. So,
yeah,
you're very welcome. And I also need to give thanks to you guys, not only for your support, but just for doing this. 'Cause if you didn't do this, then all these strings and connections, the web wouldn't be there. And you guys have a great community, and I look forward to all your upcoming work as well.
God, you're going to make me well up and get emotional. We talk about our listeners all the time. We don't take them for granted. But here's the most important question. That is, what time are you going to watch Top Gun Maverick on opening night? Because I have the shirt ready. I've only waited 3 fucking years for the goddamn movie. No, I'm kidding. It is the movie that you heard me do the entire first 5 minutes from memory. I understand that there's not one realistic thing about the film, and it doesn't matter. It's getting rave review. It's getting massive reviews from people that you would just assume would shit on it.
Well,
that must mean something.
The fact that my son saw the trailer before Doctor Strange, and he was very, very ho-hum about it. He saw the trailer and he like wide eyes, like, oh my gosh, like we need to see that. And so I was planning on seeing it like Friday or whatever. And we got 5:00 on Thursday night tickets. So just him and me. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Are
you going?
I will be going to see it Thursday night, probably one of the last shows of the night. 'Cause I want to be there that opening night to see it. And I'll probably go again. And my coworkers will be going to see it.
That's a great thing to end on. What does the Air Force think of a movie like Top Gun Maverick? Are they like, look, there's some things, there's not a flyable F-14 on this side of the world. I think Iran's the only one that has some.
Well, now
so
it would be like all of the folks that are in the Air Force now grew up with it. So
no, I get it. I just mean, I think that the realism is going to get dialed up quite a bit, but it can't be. Some of the stuff I've seen in the trailer, like, well, that's a bubble violation. Well, that's a violation. Like, I know a lot of it still is going to be fake. However, I don't give a shit. And I don't know if you guys do either. How does the military, like, is it, yes, we know it's all horse shit, but we love it just as much? Or what is it? What is it about Top Gun?
I cannot speak on behalf of the Air Force itself.
Oh, yes, you can. Yes, you
can. Because of those. But I can tell you that I have a bunch of young airmen who work underneath me. And when I got here, they're between the ages of like 19 and 21. They had no idea. They had not seen Top Gun Maverick. Or Top Gun, the original, and I made them watch it. They really liked it, and they're all excited to go see it. It kind of gets you pumped to go see a type of movie like this that showcases aircraft and the potential of what they could do, whether that's factual or not. And sometimes the greatest science comes from movies that we don't expect, from such as Interstellar with the black hole, and even Top Gun. I know back in when it first premiered, it was the best draw for people to come into the Air Force and become pilots.
Yep.
And
no, I think the Navy and Air Force, I think they said that all the military services, like 300% jump in recruitment or something. I don't know. It was something insane.
That's what I read
after the first one. And I have, and this is never going to change. I'm tempted to try Danger Zone on guitar. I'm close. I can't do the solo. The solo is what makes it so cool. And I need to get there, but I always use the opening credits to test my sound systems and my sound bars and my surround sound. Because if it can push that thing, then I'm good to go. And I can't tell you how many times I've had the opening credits on and the volume's all the way up. Like, we're just going to rattle the windows. Let's fucking go. And it was my dad's favorite film. This will be the time. I rarely talk. I mean, every now and then I'll talk about a movie and Dad and I connected on this one. This one's going to hurt. This is going to hurt. He's not there. This would have just been, I mean, he'll be there in spirit, but we could talk and Top Gun to each other, and we did. And I even was the little kid who tried to act cool and he wasn't. I tried to do the Iceman bite chomp thing, trying to act cool in front of a bullet. I looked like an idiot.
I can confirm both parts of that.
Yeah, it's so true. Anyway, I want testosterone oozing through the screen unapologetically. I want to hear the Danger Zone. I want the Top Gun theme. I want the motorcycle. I want the bike. I want the jets, and the rest is just window dressing to me. Oh, does it have a plot? Cool. I don't care. Just don't care. So I can't wait. It will be out a week. Like, it won't be release week. Sometimes we'll drop shows 3 days after they release. This will be an extra week, but that'll give you time to go back, Megan, and watch it again. Because, oh my God.
I better believe I'll be seeing it at least twice in theater, because this is that type of theater experience that you're not going to get anywhere else. And
that's why they wouldn't release it. Like, everyone is putting stuff on HBO and Hulu and Peacock during the pandemic, and they're like, nope, we're just going to punt until it's time, because we're not going to make you watch this on your TV at home. Right. So
there's no way. It's beyond, like, if people can go see it in IMAX and on the biggest screens that you can do it, it's going to be a blast.
I can't wait to see how much, because there's stuff I can tell is CG. Because it's too dangerous. You'd never do that. Like, when there's that shot of one of the Hornets flying under that bridge, no one has any reason to ever do that ever. And and normally, and I understand why they had to shoot the Top Gun the way they did. Dogfights happen from 2 miles away. They don't happen that close, but you can't photograph that. So I don't know what you do. So I'm really interested to see how they have to do some things that aren't real, or the movie's not going to work, and then try to make the rest as realistic as you can get it. So some of that stuff they were doing, I mean, it's all real. I mean, most of the aerial stuff's going to be absolutely real. And the fact that now there's the tech to actually put the cameras in, in the planes. And then I did read the other reason they put the pilot or the crew cast through like real training was. The reason that they couldn't really film the cockpit moments from the original was people just puked and just threw up and like they couldn't handle it. So, well, we'll just do it on the ground. And this time, like, no, we're going to film in the cockpits. And if you can't take it, you can't take it. But how do you, the other thing that I can't wait to get when we get the Blu-ray and the making of is, how do you direct that? How do you direct acting while you're in these fucking jets and you're talking over radios? You got GoPros in your face. How do you coordinate this shit? How do you do this? Okay, take one, action. Like, what do you do? I don't know. I'm fascinated to find out.
I think they have the best advantage they could have, and that is Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise can basically be in a way, the assistant director for those parts. And he can be up there straight up doing both while acting. And he's gotten to that level and become that master of his type of craft.
Isn't it funny that the original Top Gun's what started all this? He didn't want to do the movie. He thought the movie was cheesy and stupid. And they said, look, just come out. We're going to put you in one of the jets. You can go around and have a good time. And if you don't like it, fine, whatever. Mm-hmm. And he lands and calls his agent and says, take the movie, I'm in. And away we go.
Yep.
And so anyway, it's just, oh my God, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's our next show. And I immediately thought of you, Megan. I was like, man, you know what? Oh my God. I don't know. Donald, we need to think about how we would do this. I'm losing my mind.
Well, we're given an extra week to decompress a little bit, and because otherwise it would just be Scott going, oh my gosh for 3 hours. And we might still have that.
Oh yeah, no, I'm gonna need that. I will need Kleenex for more than one reason.
I need a couple seconds to get my own. Oh my gosh in. So.
Yeah, I can't fucking wait. I will say, since the pandemic, there's been movies that like Spider-Man No Way Home. I couldn't wait to go. And I think it's part of the reason we've been waiting 3 years. Like, it was 3 Comic-Cons ago when Cruise was on stage giving his first trailer. Like, I think it was 3 years ago. Like, I've been just like, come on, let's go. So I'm totally excited. Anyway, I can geek out for the next half hour, but we won't. Megan, thank you. We love you. Thank you for your support. Thanks to all our listeners. Thanks to everybody. This was so much fun. Megan, thank you. Donald, you ready? You ready to get out of here?
Yes. Thank you, Megan.
Anyway, Megan, yeah, thank you so much. All right, we'll get out of here. For the Movie Defenders, I'm Scott.
I'm Donald.
See you, Megan. Thanks so much.
Bye.